What's up, Daniel? Salute to everybody in the building, man. Salute to people coming in. What y'all got going, gang? What's that word that you heard on the curb? Hold on, let me see something right quick. Let me see something right quick. I'm gonna hit that light. Hit the light button. Let me see something right quick. Alright. I didn't tell you to do all that. Why is it doing that? Oh, okay, there it goes. There that bad boy go. Let me see. Salute, y'all. We'll get right into it. Play with it.
That we know of, or at least the preliminary findings of that, and also the secondary autopsy that was conducted or paid for by the family. Is there anything that stands out to you that is suspicious? All right, ladies and gentlemen, another incredible interview. I wanted to interview a medical examiner so that we can get some clarity on the autopsy. Obviously, preliminarily, we have the autopsy that was conducted by the state, and then we have the secondary autopsy that the family ordered. And I'm still confused about how this all is playing out. I don't know what is typical, what's not typical, what is suspicious. Is there anything suspicious? So I wanted to have a gentleman on that I think has an incredibly balanced perspective on this. His name is Dr. Kendall Crowns. He's the chief medical examiner in Tarrant County. For those of you who follow me know I was born and raised in Fort Worth, and my whole family live in Tarrant County. So it's kind of good to have a person from my hometown on the show. So help me welcome to the show, Dr. Crowns. Dr. Crowns, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
And so I just want to get to the bottom of as much as we can, because this is so dynamic. There's so many elements that we don't know. The state hasn't really produced a lot of information, and people who understand investigations know why they haven't. I don't believe that's anything nefarious. I think they're just doing their fair due diligence. But based on your expertise as a chief medical examiner, is there anything that stands out about the autopsy produced by the state that we know of, or at least the preliminary findings of that, and also the secondary autopsy that was conducted or paid for by the family? Is there anything that stands out to you that is suspicious in this, from what we know?
Well, so the difficulty we have at the present time is you have an ongoing investigation. You have findings from each autopsy. He's decomposed. The autopsy from the state hasn't issued any formal declaration.
What's up, Mr.
And then the secondary
Salute.
autopsy has had some findings, a reddening of the head, back of the head that they discussed. And then they mentioned the absence of the neck structures and other things. So right at this time, because of the investigation and no autopsy is performed in a vacuum, you have all these parts of the investigation that are still ongoing. And that is why everybody's kind of waiting to see where it goes. Because with a drowning, it's a diagnosis of exclusion, which basically means everything else has to be ruled out before you can say he drowned. Because right now, all we have is a young man found dead in the water and no explanation of how he got there or why he got there. And so until all these findings are come into play and everything's kind of done with the investigation, toxicology's come back, histology's come back, which is the microscopic sections. All these factors, once they're all back, then we can finally come to a proper conclusion. But at the present time, we don't really have all the information to give an actual finding.
And so when it comes to the redness, Dr. Crowns, what does that actually mean? Because it appears from what I heard of Benjamin Crump's articulation of what the secondary autopsy found was that there was redness, I think, underneath the skin. There was no lacerations to the skin, no obvious signs of bruising or trauma to the external part of the skin. So what does that tell you? I mean, have you seen this in your time doing autopsies? What exactly is redness to the back of his head? What does that mean? And what exactly is he describing there?
So it's an interesting statement because Dr. Mitchell doesn't describe it as hemorrhage. He described it as a reddened area in the deep soft tissue of the occipital region of the head, which is the back of the head. There's a reddened area. Deep soft tissue could mean musculature. A reddened area could be hemorrhage, which could be from blunt force trauma. It could also be hyperextension of the neck for some reason, like he fell out of the boat, hyperextended his neck. And it can also be from decompositional changes. Breakdown of the muscular tissue can give this kind of reddened look to the tissue itself. And finally, it could just be post-mortem pooling of the blood in that specific area, because after the decedent was found, he's going to be placed on his back, the autopsy is going to be performed, and then his body was transported to Washington, D.C., where it was then re-autopsied. And all this time it's going to be on its back. Blood's not drained out of the body at autopsy, so you could still see some pooling of the blood. But at this time, is it decompositional changes? Is it trauma? Or is it something else? We really don't know. And I assume Dr. Mitchell probably took sections of the tissue from that area to look at under the microscope to see if it is indeed trauma related. Now, your other question is could we see injuries on the skin surface? Yes, if he had a bruise to that area.
He said fell out of the boat. Why they claiming he was never on the boat? I don't know, gang. People got different sayings on. I'm talking about on everything that happened. I'm talking about, man, I done heard so much stuff you wouldn't even know the half of it.
A laceration, which is a cut or a tearing of the skin, and an abrasion, which is kind of scratching the skin surface. You would still be able to see that. Even if he had been decomposed, you would still be able to see that. The only way it would disappear is if scavengers had eaten it away or he had decomposed so much he'd be skeletal. So if there was injury to the outer surface of his body, Dr. Mitchell and the initial medical examiner in Mississippi would have spotted that and would have made note of it.
So, but there is nothing noted in specific that it was any damage or bruising to the outer skin layer?
Not that I've seen on the report.
Do you think that, after looking at the secondary report, obviously people have their own opinions about whether or not this is necessary or not. I find it to be reasonable to get a second opinion, especially when it's your child that had died. You want to make sure that every stone is unturned. Do you find anything specific in the report from the secondary autopsy to be malicious, or do you think that everything that was written down seems to be consistent with what you would write if you had observed something similar to Nolan's death or his body? Because, like the redness, bringing up that, maybe Benjamin Crump just didn't do a good job at explaining it, but it appears that bringing that up, was it necessary to not further explain in detail like you just did? Because I feel like it creates more concern or questions than it does answers. Is there anything mysterious about that, or do you think it's typical the way a medical examiner would articulate it, and it would take somebody that know what they're talking about to present it to the public instead of somebody like Benjamin Crump who may not be as familiar with some of the details?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. The difficulty from the presentation by Mr. Crump of the initial findings from the second autopsy, it's difficult for him to articulate some of the words because
don't tap that screen for me, guy. Let's go.
And then it's also interpretation, and it leads to more questions. And that's the problem by not having Dr. Mitchell standing there. He couldn't field the questions. He couldn't explain what he was thinking this reddened area in the deep soft tissues meant or anything of that nature. And you just have Benjamin Crump, who's not a doctor, telling the people what is found and no explanation, which leads to more confusion.
So a lot of people on Ben Crump ass. A lot of people on Ben Crump. Everybody keep bringing up Ben Crump. Basically, he said Ben Crump ain't no doctor. He can't tell y'all what happened to Nolan. That what this old boy saying right now. The medical examiner. Get the lights up, gang.
confusion, more conspiracies, and more frustration. So it's helpful when something like this occurs for the actual medical examiner who did the second autopsy to be there to explain their findings for the people when they have questions. It clarifies things so you don't get all this speculation. Now, as far as the autopsy is concerned, I think Dr. Mitchell did a fine job. I don't think he put any language in his autopsy that was inflammatory or making accusations or anything of that nature. And I think he did a very, classy report to basically say, this is what I found and this is what I'm thinking. And he didn't even go as far as him saying undetermined, is basically saying, I don't have all the information right now. And if I have to give a cause of death, the best I can do is undetermined.
Yeah, that seemed fair to me. I think I'm consistent on that. When I was filtering through what Benjamin Crump was trying to read, I felt like it was very fair and it was very consistent with what I expected from the first autopsy being done, and no obvious signs of foul play, which what the law enforcement said. So there still could be something there. There still could be a homicide that occurred. It's just that initially there's no obvious signs, and there was no obvious signs in the secondary autopsy. The throat situation is another thing that I don't understand, right? Initially, when it was projected to the public, people don't know exactly what was taken out of the throat, right? I mean, the external portion of the neck, if it wasn't extreme decomposition, or some animals took chunks out of it, the layer of the skin here is still intact. It's just
Animals.
the internal workings of the throat. Can you explain what was missing, and is that
Yeah,
normal,
because he
or is
wasn't
that
fight to a couple days after.
inconsistent with producing producing the body to a secondary autopsy,
Man, ain't no
that the
telling
throat would
what we're
be
trying to eat
completely
on
missing?
Nolan, man, in that water for 2 days.
Certainly. So when we're talking
2
about the
days
throat,
after?
you have the skin, of course, as you talked about. And then immediately underneath that skin, like within a quarter inch or so, is your hyoid bone, thyroid cartilage, trachea, mainstem bronchi. So it's your upper airway. Behind that's your esophagus. Sides of it are your internal jugular carotid artery. And then you have these muscles. They're called the strap muscles of your neck, and they help move your head around. So when you do an autopsy, you do a layered neck dissection. You cut the surface of the skin back, and then you peel each muscle up looking for hemorrhages, which would be signs of a strangulation or other blunt force trauma to the neck. And then you evaluate the areas that are the thyroid cartilage and the trachea, larynx, and hyoid bone for fractures. With a young individual like Mr. Wells was, these areas are not ossified, which means they're not bony, and they don't have a tendency to break in a strangulation until you get much further along in age. Probably around 50, you'll start seeing fractures. But at this age, they'd be very rubbery, so they wouldn't necessarily break unless there's an extreme amount of pressure put on them. But so you have these structures in the neck that you look at, evaluate for strangulations, the layered neck dissection of the muscles, looking for hemorrhage, looking at the thyroid cartilage for fractures, looking at the hyoid bone for fractures, and you take them all out during autopsy. And the thing is when you are concerned about something, or you think there might be a microfracture or something of those nature, you keep those structures, you put them in formaldehyde, and you give them a chance for all those, because when you take a tissue out at the time of autopsy, it can be very floppy or very soft. But when you let it fix in formaldehyde, it gets very stiff, and you can take better sections to look at under the microscope and evaluate for trauma. So it's not unusual for someone to save the neck structures, especially if there's some concern of foul play or something like that, and to evaluate them further. The other thing is some offices will actually even go further and have an anthropologist look at those neck structures, looking specifically at the bony changes to see if they see any microfractures. So it's not unusual for someone to take it. It's not done on every autopsy, but it's done in cases in which there is some suspicion or a possibility of foul play. And again, we have this gentleman, he's found after being missing. No one knows what happened. and he's found floating up. So maybe they're wanting to do their due diligence and go further and look at the neck structures even more microscopically to make sure there's no injuries. And then the fact that it's not there is the fact that they kept it to do this further testing, and then it's not available for Dr. Mitchell to look at at his autopsy, which is a limitation for him. And then one thing about second autopsies is usually it's a collaboration, because the initial doctor wants to be right. And if a second autopsy is done, usually you talk with that doctor, you collaborate, and you make sure what they find you know about and you can incorporate into your case if you think it's of significance. And you can also give them information so they can put it in their case if they think it's of significance. That way everybody comes to a proper conclusion.
Perfect. I just want to clarify something. So with the furthering of investigation on the neck area, are you saying that because they went to the next step or wanted to do due diligence, that they may believe that there's something there? Or could it be also, is it two phases or both, where they want to do due diligence, meaning that since the circumstances were undetermined or we don't know how he died, it is invaluable as a medical examiner to do due diligence, to take that into consideration, even if it's not clear evidence of damage to the neck initially? Or are you saying that only if you see a concern that you would go that extra step? I hope I'm articulating that properly. Like, is this something where as a medical examiner you want to be thorough, so you do it anyway just to rule it out in cases that are suspicious? Or do you have to see something that leads you to say, I have to do a further investigation? If I don't see anything, I'm not going to do anything with the neck.
So it would be both. If you see something, of course, you're going to take it out and do something more and do the extra testing. But if you don't see something and you're very suspicious, like you have a young man who's at a party with a whole lot of people who's now found dead and you don't know why, and one of the reasons can be strangulation or something along those lines, and you want to make sure you didn't miss something, then you do your due diligence and do the further testing. Because that's the problem.
Salute to everybody. Hold up. Wait.
There may be no fight.
How many people think it's foul play? Put a 1 in the chat, foul play. 2, y'all think it's not foul play. 1, foul play. 2, not foul play. Let's go. Turn me up, gang. Let's go. Let's turn this bit up tonight. Let's turn this bit up right quick. Let's go.
And the toxicology
Let's get to talking
results,
in the chat, man.
Could the neck have something to do with
Let's get this shit
the
moving,
toxicology results, or is that not related whatsoever?
When it was a sleeper chokehold.
So toxicology.
So y'all think somebody put him in the sleeper chokehold? They put him in the yoke? Y'all think somebody put him in the yoke? Y'all know down here where I'm from, they call it yoke. You think somebody yoked them out? Dang, so y'all saying 1. So y'all feel like, a lot of y'all feel like it is foul play. Tell me why y'all think it's foul play in the chat. Let's go.
Results will be from testing of blood, a fluid in the eyeball called vitreous. Some offices use gastric contents and urine and even bile, but it won't have anything to do with the neck structures.
And when it comes to the toxicology results, how long does it take for the medical examiner, someone like yourself, to get from doing an examination to then having toxicology done and results sent back to you for evaluation?
So it depends on the jurisdiction, but standardly it's about 6 to 8 weeks for toxicology to come back. It can come back quicker if there's nothing to be found, but usually if they are finding some things, it'll take 6 to 8 weeks. And I would also say if there is any decomposition in Mr. Wells, which I think they've alluded to, there can be decomposition production of alcohol by the bacteria that's breaking down your body. So he will have an alcohol level that can be actually, he could have had no alcohol in his system, but it'll show alcohol, or the alcohol he had in his system will be even higher because of the decomposition.
Yeah, are you able to determine how much alcohol could have been metabolized based on some mathematical structure, or how do you know what the difference is? Like, somebody, the
Wait,
cause of death could have been
who think
maybe they drink too much.
alcohol played a role in Nolan Wells' unaliving? Did alcohol play a role in it? Let me know in the chat. Let's go.
Much, and they died from alcohol poisoning, but then they die and they decompose, and then the alcohol concentration is even greater. Are you able to determine the alcohol that was drunk while the person was alive versus the alcohol that's been created through
No, you
decomposition?
can't tell the difference. Yeah, you can't tell the difference.
But it's
just you can look at the body and say, they're in a moderate state of decomposition. They've got bloating, they've got green discoloration, skin slippage, and then their blood alcohol comes back at a 0.10 or a 0.08, and then you can be like, well, decomposition could have elevated that, or it could all be from decomposition. It'd be difficult to say.
Oh, okay. So there's no mathematical equation of alcohol produced through decomposition, or from a week versus a day, or there's no, like you drink alcohol and there's a certain way the body metabolizes alcohol over time, so you can kind of do a reverse mathematical equation and say, okay, if this person has alcohol here, and we can deduce that the person's alcohol level was this because they metabolized at this rate. So there's no rate of alcohol production from decomposition.
That's correct. There's no formula. You couldn't predict it.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, do you ever see, or have you ever seen a situation where you predicted that it had to have been from decomposition because the alcohol concentration or alcohol level was so high when a person has been found dead after a week or so? Because you say, well, if he's a 0.2 something and he's been dead for a week, well, I guess the body would metabolize it if you're dead. So the alcohol concentration is going to be very difficult to determine if he was intoxicated when he died or it had no result at all.
Right. So whenever you drink a beer, it's a can of beer, a shot of hard liquor, or like whiskey, a glass of wine. It elevates your blood alcohol 0.02%. And then you metabolize at a rate of 0.02%. So you drink one glass, you wait an hour, your blood alcohol is back to zero. So when you die, you don't continue to metabolize the alcohol you had in your system. So if you died at a 0.08%, you will be 0.08%. But as the decomposition occurs, your blood alcohol level will elevate. So you'll go from that 0.08 to a 0.18. And in the literature, it says it usually gets to about a 0.1, depending on how decomposed they are. But they've even found people getting up to a 0.19. So we have to, anytime the body's decomposed and we get an alcohol level back, we have to look at it and be like, well, they are decomposed, so I don't know if it was really that high. One of the things you can look at is the liver. Is when you drink, it causes basically damage to your liver, and the liver compensates by creating fat in the liver. So instead of the liver being this kind of brownish red coloration, it gets this yellow, bright yellow look to it. So in a binge drinker type situation, we might see this big kind of greasy yellow liver, and then we'll get the alcohol level. And yes, it's elevated by decomposition, but we can also say, well, there is a component of that is from alcohol because of the changes in the liver. So in decomposition, you get kind of this correlation between physical findings in the organs versus the toxicology results, and then you kind of try and make your best opinion. And that is ultimately what we are giving as our opinion.
So the inconsistencies in potential alcohol concentration of blood alcohol, will there be adversity when it comes to other forms of drugs or other things in his system that may be noteworthy? Is decomposition something that hurts the finding of those things as well? Like, just say if he had cocaine in his system, would decomposition hurt the ability for you to find that to be conclusive that it was cocaine, or could it be washed away through decomposition?
So cocaine is, you can still find it in decomposition.
How many people think he was doing coke? How many people think he was doing that white girl? That Snow White? That Jim Carrey? All right. Let me chill out. Okay, I'm going too far. Let's go.
In fact,
right.
when the body starts forming blisters from decomposition, the fluid in the blisters will still have the cocaine in it. So that is one thing we can look for. There are other drugs that can be affected as far as their levels are concerned, but you can still find them even with decomposition, like methamphetamine, ecstasy, fentanyl, all the things that are popping up late.
It say, did somebody said in the chat, did the other boys get tested for that white girl? Hey, this the wrong time to ask now, because get what? Ain't no need to test them now. You know how many days done went by? I don't know. I'm telling you, they should have tested them then. If they saying that was in Nolan's system. If that happened, gang. That's if he was doing that. We don't know for sure. They just people saying, you know what I'm saying, that he did that. We don't know for sure. I don't think they even came out and said that was in his system. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, gang. I'm just gonna be honest. I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, try to put a lie on Nolan and saying, yeah, Nolan was doing that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know, gang. That's just what they were throwing around saying.
All those can be found still even in decomposition. It does alter the levels, but you can still find it. So you might not be able to say definitively, well, they died from a fatal amount of this particular drug, but you were able to find it.
And could there be a scenario, and I think you would be the expert that can articulate this, because I'm pretty sure you've seen it in being in Tarrant County. Could there be a scenario where we end this autopsy undetermined, where the medical examiner from the state and also the secondary medical examiner says, hey, all of the things have come out, these are the things that we're concerned about, but we're still at this point undetermined. And maybe that's just concluded as an undetermined cause of death.
Yeah, that is a distinct possibility. Of course, he's in the water, so it's more likely than not the drowning will be some form of the cause of death. But the manner of death could ultimately be undetermined no matter what happens, because, again, without knowing how he got in the water, you can't determine a manner of death. But, you know he died, he was in water. You can say drowning definitively, but why he's in the water is the problem, and that's where the manner comes in. So I think ultimately you could see them saying the cause of death is drowning, but you may never have a manner at all. It may always be undetermined in this case.
Perfect.
See,
Doctor, last question.
See, guess what, gang? Guess what, gang? It might be, guess what? What if the other autopsy come out undetermined too? I'm saying the one they gonna present to the jury. Would that say undetermined? How do the jury go about with that? I said if now. I ain't saying that the jury gonna come out saying that. I said if. If Ben Crump autopsy came out, he did a private autopsy. Ben Crump. It came out undetermined. Is that gonna be the same for the main autopsy? I'm just asking. Questions. Ain't like I know everything. I'm just asking y'all again. I'm asking y'all again. Straight up.
They offer premium priority nationwide service on any of the three major US networks.
Say it depends.
Limited data plans, international roaming, and 100% US based
customers. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, bro. See, that's what I be talking about.
I don't think they cooperated at all.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes, bro.
Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department hasn't. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
That's a veteran trial lawyer. That is Tyler Cox. He's representing the young men that were on the boat that took Nolan to Horn Island and came back without Nolan, according to them. Joining me in all-star panel, I'm not saying Cox is right or wrong, but what I am saying out to Brandon Tatum. Tatum, former police officer, Tucson, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. He has interviewed Nolan's acquaintances that were on the boat that day. Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us. Let me talk about this one moment. We've got so much to get to. I'm going to try to be brief. Tyler Cox stating, I don't think they cooperated at all. I think he's talking about Nolan's family. They, I guess, the sheriff's office haven't had access to Nolan's phone. Well, can't they subpoena that?
Slim, what's up, Slim?
You're familiar with those. You've testified in court. The subpoena ducus tecum is, we hear about subpoenas for testimony. I've been subpoenaed. Yes, go to court and tell the truth. A subpoena ducus tecum is for an item, an object, a document. The sheriff can give out a subpoena ducus tecum or get a warrant for an object. So, you don't have it? Fine, get it. Next. So, how can you say that I'm quoting, how can you say there's no text message or photo, as a text message or photos missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back.
That's facts, Joe.
So, seeing anything about missing text or Snapchats, chat's completely false.
Salute everybody here, man.
According to the mom, Officer Tatum, she says that there was nothing sent out while Nolan was at Horn Island, which she found very odd. I have no reason to disbelieve her. So how can you say there were missing or there weren't missing? I don't think you can say it either way. Why don't they just get a search warrant and go get the phone? You know what? Forget all that. Officer Tatum, where is Nolan's phone? Do authorities have it?
Well, from my understanding, authorities do not have it, and the family have not been cooperating with authorities to give the phone over. According to the testimony or written statement from the lawyer that represents the family, the Nolan Wells family, he had made mention that he's prepared to cooperate, but they have not cooperated yet, which is very interesting to me. You want to find out what happened to your son. You would think you would be doing everything you can to cooperate. I can't judge her. I don't know what's in their mind, but it just seems to be very off-putting for them not to at least give the phone over and do what exactly they told the world they were going to do, and that is to allow a forensic extraction of his phone. Therefore, the world can see if there is things that have been deleted. I think Tyler Cox is very clear about what he's saying, that the boys had nothing to do with it. So if there's anything missing from the phone, it had nothing to do with them. Now, I'll add this. When you look at what Christine said.
Brandon, whoa, I'm going to go right back to what you're saying, but you're saying a lot, and I want to address each thing so we don't leave anything out. Number one, you just stated that, basically. Correct me, you can paraphrase this any way you want to. It looks really bad for Nolan's family not to hand over the phone. Do you have any independent knowledge they have not handed over the phone?
According to their lawyer that wrote a statement, and the statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, but that was as of the 11th, therefore they have not cooperated. Tyler Cox has made mention that he don't believe they cooperated whatsoever. He don't believe they cooperated whatsoever as well. So
extrapolating, you're taking the words, Tatum, that their words that they're prepared to cooperate to mean they haven't handed over the phone. Isn't that true?
I'm putting everything together, right? We have Tyler Cox that's coming out and saying that he has no indication whatsoever they've cooperated. The family has not come out and said that there's any findings. And then also the attorney that represents the family is saying that we haven't sent or gave the phone over, but we're willing to. And that was as of the 11th.
No,
so it appears that there's no indication that...
Brandon, you may very well be a lot smarter than me, but I can hear, okay? The statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, I guess from Crump. That does not mean if it was... we have not handed over the phone, but we will.
Well, Nancy, when you put it all, you have to put the totality of circumstance together. I'm not there to be in the room with the investigators to determine, but I'm just going off of what knowledge we have and that's been given to us that's available. And what Tyler Cox is saying, and I'm taking him at his word, he's saying that there's no indication that they've cooperated. The lawyers that represent the family is saying we're prepared, but they did not say that they've cooperated whatsoever. So I'm looking at the statements that are produced, and all of the statements indicate that there has not been a cooperation with the phone being extracted from investigators. Therefore, there is no true determination that things were missing from the phone.
Tatum, obviously, we want the phone. I think you can download it from the cloud, but she's the expert. She's saying it would help to have the phone. So don't you understand why? And I'm not saying this is true. I don't know that it's true. I don't know that Ceto call is real or fake. I don't know. It's murky. You know,
how many people?
Tatum.
How many people think that Ceto call real? Let me know.
I would start out the trial with a
Is
big
that
jar,
Ceto call real?
jar full of water and silk. And
Hold on,
I had
guys.
it
Wait, right quick.
big on my counsel table, day one, right beside my Bible. And in closing arguments, the first thing I would do when I started closing arguments, I'd take that jar and shake it. And it would get very murky. You couldn't see anything. And I'd set it down on my counsel table, and argument would commence. And by the time I had gone through all the evidence, I'd go over to my table, pick it up, and say, see, it's not muddy anymore. It's crystal clear what happened. My point is, we don't know. So all the haters attacking you, attacking me, attacking the cops, attacking the friends, attacking Nolan's mother, for Pete's sake, we don't know. It's unjustified. Now, to my question. Don't you understand why people are suspicious? Because Nolan's separated from his phone, which no teen does. I get it, why he didn't have it in the water. I get that. I dive, I swim. I just went swimming with the dolphins with my twins. And yes, my phone was on the boat. But then I got it. I didn't let the boat take off without it. So at least you can admit that's why people are curious. I'm curious.
Nancy, I think it's because people are out putting out misinformation, and they don't have the totality of circumstances because they haven't heard from the boys, didn't watch the interview and all of this stuff, and they feel that it's convoluted. It's very straightforward to me and very clear in many areas that the boys are saying they did not have access. Christine, Nolan's mother, is not saying unequivocally that things were deleted. She was surprised that things were not present. Therefore, she insinuated that things may have been deleted. But she did not really say that the phone was deleted. And the fact that they did not communicate with both sides, meaning that I wish that the Nolan Wells family would have communicated with these boys instead of me, would have talked to their lawyers instead of me, then therefore they could have gotten a good perspective. The boys made mention in the interview that I did with them that they told Christine, Nolan's mother, that they had his phone and his keys in their possession. Therefore, she came to get them. They turned them over. They have no access to his codes. They have no reason to delete his phone. They're claiming there's nothing that was deleted. They gave a fair explanation as to why he left the phone on the boat. Nolan wasn't the only individual to leave a phone on the boat. He wasn't the only black person to leave a phone on the boat. So that, to me, dispels the racial component. He was with them. Multiple boats came out. Traditionally, if you don't leave on a boat you came on, you can leave on another boat. They're all going to the same location. So it's not that bizarre that he left his phone. The phone was returned to Nolan. These are best friends of Nolan. They hang out almost every day.
Hold on just a sec.
He spent the night over their house.
Everything you're saying, but now we're getting to another topic. I hear you, but Tatum, the boat. Has the boat been searched by cadaver dogs and scent dogs?
The boat, from my understanding, has not been searched, and the cadaver dogs were made available for Benjamin Crump to utilize them to do a search on the boat. They refused.
Crump is not supposed to use the dogs.
Well, there is no reason to search
everything on Crump.
Listen, Nancy, there's no reason if there's not any evidence of a murder, there's no reason for them to use the cadaver dog. That's how this works.
True.
There's none of these individuals are. They do not have any expectation that there was any murder that occurred. It's just other people are putting that out to the world. The police department is not investigating the murder. These boys are not suspects.
I agree they're not suspects. They're not persons of interest. They're not suspects. They haven't been charged. But
to believe after interviewing 60 people that he was ever on the boat.
The search of the Triton,
He's not
his boat.
Ordering it. He's not ordering it. The cadaver dogs were made available. If he, no.
How many people think they should
avail themselves to?
How many people think they should have searched the boat, gang? Let me know in chat. Let me know in chat real quick. Should have they searched the boat, gang? Let me know, gang.
Him and said, "Would you like us to search the boat?"
You just said that about Nolan Wells' mom. You said. I almost.
Hey, salute my dog Vaughn in that bit, man. Gang.
You just said when Crump says we're
gang
available and ready. You meant, well, that's no. They haven't handed over the boat. But now you're saying the friends say our boat's available and ready. And I'm not going to tear you a new one because the law enforcement is the one that needs to go and search the boat.
Nancy,
it ain't rocket science.
The people who had questions about this, because it's definitely not the law enforcement, it was Benjamin Crumb. They wanted to get to the bottom. They don't trust law enforcement.
There's not a grand jury? This isn't going to grand jury?
I'm saying initially before grand jury.
Because if it's going to grand jury, then there are questions.
Initially before grand jury, when this first started, and Benjamin Crump brought up all of these questions, and they made them avail themselves to him and said, "Would you like for us to search the boat? We'll grant the cadaver dogs for you to go and look at the boat." And he refused. And this is why I'm saying it does not appear.
Give authority to search the boat.
He can. The boys are cooperating.
I want you to run over to Tatum's house and sniff the hell out of it. Because
I would say, come on over. I would say, no. I said, come on over. The cadaver dogs are made available. But then Benjamin Crump said, well, we don't want it. That's the problem here.
Wait a minute.
They are not pursuing like they claim they are.
Say, here's our boat. Come search it. Did the families offer the boat?
They offered boat, phones, whatever investigators needed, whatever the family needed, they made it available. The family did not pursue any avenue to connect with the boys on any level. The boat, to talk about timeline, to communicate with parents, to communicate with lawyers, they have done nothing. And then now we find out that they haven't even given the phone over to law enforcement so they can do an extraction or a forensic investigation.
Well, stop.
That they can see.
You know what? I respect you, but I'm going to have to cut your mic because we have to be clear about something. Hold on. Oh,
yeah. I'm gonna have to cut your mic. You hear what she said? I'm gonna have to cut your mic. I'm gonna have to cut your mic. Cause what I'm hearing right now is BS. That's what she was saying. I'm going with what she was saying. I'm going with she was saying that then. Ain't like I said it. Yeah, she said, I'm gonna have to cut your mic, brother. Yeah, she said, I'm gonna have to cut your mic. Damn. You can't find this on the internet. That's crazy work. Hold up, gang. Hold up right quick. Hey, Nessa don't be playing with her. Nessa don't be playing with her. Hold up, we'll go to the full thing. My fault. That was just Tatum. He had to play that clip on his show. But Nessa got the full thing over there. Hold up. Gang. Hold up, gang. Because I don't want to play this other video yet. Yeah, I ain't going to play this other video yet. We still going to wait on it. Let's go to it. Here we go. Let's go. Let's get down to the get down then. They say he ain't no officer. You ain't no cop, Jay. You ain't no cop. You ain't gonna shoot no cop in the back.
I can do this all day. Make every day
feel all right.
In the Hyundai Palisade Hybrid.
Bombshell tonight in the Nolan Wells
Let's go, guys.
investigation.
Let's turn
Tonight,
up.
the timeline
Let's get
seemingly
it going.
blows up.
Let's get it
As
going.
Nolan's mother is investigated. Why? And tonight, possibly
I
even
appreciate
more
that.
important,
That's
where is Nolan's phone? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. We want the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells.
A Bertram boat was seen leaving shortly afterward at a high rate of speed. Pretty certain Nolan Wells was part of a group that was, quote, almost fighting around 5 p.m.
I'm on the side of finding out why everybody got back to the mainland except Nolan Wells.
I don't think they've cooperated at all. They do not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has it. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
Big question. That is Tyler Cox representing
get the lights up, gang. Let's go.
Friends of Nolan on Horn Island. And if he's claiming that no one's
We got a couple more other videos we'll play after this. Let's go.
Then something's not missing.
We just vibing out tonight, gang.
So
let's go.
That's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Let's hear that one more time from
Rock out in the chat, gang.
I don't think they
rock out in the chat, man.
They do not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has.
Hey, if
so
you don't be scared to represent in the chat. Hey, if you riding for Nolan, throw that up. If you ain't riding for Nolan, throw it up too. Let me know if you on their side, if you on the mother boy side, if you against Ben Crump them, or whatever the case may be. Let me know. Let me know that shit in the chat, man. Type that shit. I'm looking at the chat. Let's go.
Or there's photographs missing. Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone.
We in here tonight. Express, hey, we ain't gonna kick you. We ain't gonna kick you out from over here. Express how you feel in the chat. Oh yeah. That's what this platform for too. Yeah. That's why it's opened up. Yeah. Express how you feel over here. Type that shit.
Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
That's a veteran trial lawyer. That is Tyler Cox. He's representing the young men that were on the boat that took Nolan to Horn Island and came back without Nolan, according to them. Joining me in all-star panel, I'm not saying Cox is right or wrong, but what I am saying
I'm on. Hey, you Peanut. Peanut. Hey, you got a dangerous name. You from this off topic? Peanut. That ain't Peanut from Baby Boy, is it? My bad. Let's get to it. Let's get back to it. My fault. Cause you see how NASA looking at them.
Star of the Officer Tatum on YouTube. He has interviewed Nolan's acquaintances that were on the boat that day. Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us. Let me talk about this one moment. We've got so much to get to. I'm going to try to be brief. Tyler Cox stating, I don't think they cooperated at all. I think he's talking about Nolan's family. They, I guess, the sheriff's office haven't had access to Nolan's phone. Well, can't they subpoena that? It's called a subpoena ducis tecum. You're familiar with those. You've testified in court. A subpoena ducis tecum is, we hear about subpoenas for testimony. I've been subpoenaed. Yes, go to court and tell the truth. A subpoena ducis tecum is for an item, an object, a document. The sheriff can give out a subpoena ducis tecum or get a warrant for an object. So, you don't have it? Fine, get it. Next. So, how can you say that I'm quoting, how can you say there's no text message or photo, as a text message or photos missing?
Wait a minute. Wait.
Our boys had no reason to do anything
with
Nolan's
you don't say nothing about Nancy in this chat now.
So, seeing anything about missing...
I ain't gonna count. That's the only thing to get you kicked out from over here. You go to talking about Nancy, that'll get you kicked out. Let's go.
Text or Snapchat's completely false. Well, according to the mom, Officer Tatum, she says that there was nothing sent out while Nolan, was at Horn Island, which she found very odd. I have no reason to disbelieve her. So how can you say there were missing or there weren't missing? I don't think you can say it either way. Why don't they just get a search warrant and go get the phone? You know what? Forget all that. Officer Tatum, where is Nolan's phone? Do authorities have it?
Well, from my understanding, authorities do not have it, and the family have not been cooperating with authorities to give the phone over.
For real, gang. Let them know, gang.
Testimony or written
They
statement.
said no Nancy slander. You see what he said?
The family, the Nolan Wells family. He had made mention that he's prepared to cooperate, but they have not cooperated yet, which is very interesting to me. You want to find out what happened to your son. You would think you would be doing everything you can to cooperate. I can't judge her. I don't know what's in their mind, but it just seems to be very off-putting for them not to at least give the phone over and do what exactly they told the world they were going to do, and that is to allow a forensic extraction of his phone. Therefore, the world can see if there is things that have been deleted. I think Tyler Cox is very clear about what he's saying, that the boys had nothing to do with it. So if there is anything missing from the phone, it had nothing to do with them. Now, I'll add this. When you look at what Christine said,
Brandon, whoa, but I'm going to go right back to what you're saying, but you're saying a lot, and I want to address each thing so we don't leave anything out. Number one, you just stated that, basically. Correct me, you can paraphrase this any way you want to. It looks really bad for Nolan's family not to hand over the phone. Do you have any independent knowledge they have not handed over the phone?
According to their lawyer that wrote a statement, and the statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, but that was as of the 11th. Therefore, they have not cooperated. Tyler Cox has made mention that he don't believe they cooperated whatsoever. He don't believe they cooperated whatsoever as well. So
extrapolating, you're taking the words, Tatum, that their words that they're prepared to cooperate to mean they haven't handed over the phone. Isn't that true?
I'm putting everything together, right? We have Tyler Cox that's coming out and saying that he has no indication whatsoever they've cooperated. The family has not come out and said that there's any findings. And then also the attorney that represents the family is saying that we haven't sent or gave the phone over, but we're willing to. And that was as of the 11th.
No,
so it appears that there's no indication that...
Brandon, you may very well be a lot smarter than me, but I can hear, okay?
I joke. What, you want to make a fight at wedding?
Prepared to cooperate, I guess, from crime.
Straight up.
That does not
sure
mean we have not handed over the phone, but we will.
Well,
I have to bust somebody's ass in here.
Put the totality of circumstance together. I'm not there to be in the room with the investigators to determine, but I'm just going off of what knowledge we have and that's been given to us that's available. And what Tyler Cox is saying, and I'm taking him at his word, he's saying that there's no indication that they've cooperated. The lawyers that represent the family is saying we're prepared, but they did not say that they cooperated whatsoever. So I'm looking at the statements that are produced, and all of the statements indicate that there has not been a cooperation with the phone being extracted from investigators. Therefore, there is no true determination that things were missing from the phone. Well, we have no other. We have nothing else to go off of.
Prepared to cooperate. For all I know, that means we'll come in for questioning. We'll let you search his belongings. It can mean anything. That does not equal we have not handed over the phone. But hey, you know what?
Nancy, it's been weeks.
You say tomato, I say tomato, because it kind of doesn't matter, and I'll tell you why it doesn't matter. Actually, I'll let an expert tell us why it doesn't matter. To Heather Barnhart joining us, digital forensics expert with Celebrite. We learned all about Celebrite during the Alex Murdaugh trial. That's how we got everything off of his dead, murdered son's phone. And the SANS
Why you have to throw that in now? Why you have to throw that in now?
She is one of the preeminent digital forensic experts in the country. She helped crack the Brian Kohberger case, and she is co-author of Practical Mobile Forensics, now in its 4th edition. That means that many people have used it. Heather, thank you for being with us. If the phone, I don't care where it is. Okay, actually, I do care where it is. I want to know that it's been handed over. I don't have to have the phone to know what's on the phone if it's in the cloud. It looks like an iPhone to me. So my argument with Officer Tatum is academic. it doesn't matter if I can get it from the cloud. So Nolan's phone missing. So what? I can download it. I can get it.
Data will exist in the cloud if he's syncing to iCloud and third-party applications. However, having physical access to the phone is where the databases exist that will have the truth on deletion. So you really need to get a full file system extraction of his phone as quickly as possible. So if it's not handed over to authorities now, it needs to be, because this was over a month ago now.
Well, do you have to have the phone to do the extraction? What about the cloud?
Cloud data is different, and there's a lot of information there. There could be unique information in the cloud that's been removed from the phone, if anything was removed, but it's best to have both cloud and the phone to paint the entire pattern of behavior and to see the truth.
Heather Barnhart, please don't move. Back to Officer Tatum joining us. Tatum, obviously, we want the phone. I think you can download from the cloud, but she's the expert. She's saying it would help to have the phone. So don't you understand why? And I'm not saying this is true. I don't know that it's true. I don't know that that CETO call is real or fake. I don't know. It's murky. You know, Tatum, when I would try cases, especially complicated cases, I would start out the trial with a big jar.
Hey, y'all get me to 100 likes, gang. Everybody double tap the screen in here for me. And hit that sub button for me.
I had
I'm
it
telling like Speed say, hit that sub button.
on my counsel table.
Hit that sub button.
Day one.
Go ahead, gang.
Right beside my Bible.
Turn that bit up.
And in closing arguments, the first thing I would do when I started closing arguments, I'd take that jar and shake it. And it would get very murky. You couldn't see anything. And I'd sit it down on my counsel table and argument would commence. And by the time I had gone through all the evidence, I'd go over to my table, pick it up, and say, see, it's not muddy anymore. It's crystal clear what happened.
You didn't hear what she said. It's crystal clear.
Don't know.
Not crystal
So
clear.
all the
We don't want to talk about crystal clear in this case.
Me,
They already talking about Nolan was on that crystal clear. Allegedly.
Nolan's mother, for
Let's
Pete's
go.
sake. We don't know. It's unjustified. Now, to my question. Don't you understand why people are suspicious? Because Nolan's separated from his phone, which no teen does. I get it. Why he didn't have it in the water. I get that. I dive, I swim. I just went swimming with the dolphins with my twins. And yes, my phone was on the boat. But then I got it. I didn't let the boat take off without it. So at least you can admit that's why people are curious. I'm curious.
Nancy, I think it's because people are out putting out misinformation and they don't have the totality of circumstances because they haven't heard from the boys, didn't watch the interview and all of this stuff, and they feel that it's convoluted. It's very straightforward to me and very clear in many areas that the boys are saying they did not have access. Christine, Nolan's mother, is not saying unequivocally that things were deleted. She was surprised that things were not present. Therefore, she insinuated that things may have been deleted. But she did not really say that the phone was deleted. And the fact that they did not communicate with both sides, meaning that I wish that the Nolan Wells family would have communicated with these boys instead of me, would have talked to their lawyers instead of me, then therefore they could have gotten a good perspective. The boys made mention in the interview that I did with them that they told Christine, Nolan's mother, that they had his phone and his keys in their possession. Therefore, she came to get them. They turned them over. They have no access to his codes. They have no reason to delete his phone. They're claiming there's nothing that was deleted. They gave a fair explanation as to why he left the phone on the boat. Nolan wasn't the only individual to leave the phone on the boat. He wasn't the only black person to leave the phone on the boat. So that, to me, dispels the racial component. He was with them. Multiple boats came out. Traditionally, if you don't leave on a boat you came on, you can leave on another boat. They're all going to the same location. So it's not that bizarre that he left his phone. The phone was returned to Nolan. These are best friends of Nolan. They hang out almost every day.
Hold on just a sec.
He spent the night over their house.
Everything you're saying, but now we're getting to another topic. I hear you, but Tatum, the boat. Has the boat been searched by cadaver dogs and scent dogs?
The boat, from my understanding, has not been searched. And the cadaver dogs were made available, but Benjamin Crump utilized them to do a search on the boat. They refused.
Crump is not supposed to use the dogs. It's
well, there is no reason to search
everything on Crump.
Listen, Nancy, there's no reason if there's not any evidence of a murder, there's no reason for them to use the cadaver dog. That's how this works.
True.
There's none of these individuals they do not have any expectation that there was any murder that occurred. It's just other people are putting that out to the world. The police department is not investigating the murder. These boys are not suspects.
I run a podcast solo. No producer, no editor, no text.
Hey, is y'all rocking with Stop 6 right now?
High-quality podcast recordings.
Is my chat rocking with Stop 6? I know the answer already, but I just want to see y'all answer. I just want to see y'all type it.
They're not suspects. They haven't been charged.
I already know the answer. Is y'all rocking with Stop 6 right now?
I believe after interviewing 60 people that he was ever on the boat.
The search of the Triton.
He's not
boat.
ordering it. He's not ordering it. The cadaver dogs were made available if he wanted to. No. They made themselves, availed themselves to him and said, would you like us to search the boat?
You just said that about Nolan Wells' mom. You said, I almost hate to do this to you. Almost. Tatum, you just said, when Crump says we're available and ready, you meant, well, that's no, they haven't handed over the boat. But now you're saying, the friends say our boat's available and ready. And I'm not going to tear you a new one because the law enforcement is the one that needs to go and search the boat.
Nancy,
it ain't rocket science.
The people who had questions about this, because it's definitely not the law enforcement, it was Benjamin Crump. They wanted to get to the bottom. They don't trust law enforcement.
There's not a grand jury? This isn't going to grand jury?
I'm saying initially before grand jury.
Because if it's going to grand jury, then there are questions.
Initially before grand jury, when this first started, and Benjamin Crump brought up all of these questions, and they availed themselves to him and said, would you like for us to search the boat? We'll grant the cadaver dogs for you to go and look at the boat. And he refused. And this is why I'm saying it does not appear.
Give authority to search the boat.
He can. The boys are cooperating.
I want you to run over to Tatum's house and sniff the hell out of it.
Wait. That's what I'm saying. We don't want to talk about sniffing in this Bay. Yeah. I told y'all Nancy Grace, that's my old lady. She got on that little sexy lingerie for me tonight. Yeah. Shout out Nancy Grace. I'm going too far. All right, let's go. My fault.
Dogs are made available, but then Benjamin Crump said, well, we don't want it. That's the problem here.
Wait a minute.
They are not pursuing like they claim they are.
Say, here's our boat. Come search it. Did the families offer the boat?
They offered boat, phones, whatever investigators needed, whatever the family needed. They made it available. The family did not pursue any avenue to connect with the boys on any level. The boat, to talk about timeline, to communicate with parents, to communicate with lawyers. They have done nothing. And then now we find out that they haven't even given the phone over to law enforcement so they can do an extraction or a forensic investigation.
Well, stop.
That they can see
you know what? I respect
deleted.
you, but I'm going to have to cut your mic because we have to be clear about something. Hold on. Philip Dubé joining me. He is a veteran trial lawyer, a defense lawyer.
Mike.
He's joining me out of L.A.
And she cut her mic for.
He practices criminal and constitutional law.
She cut her mic for. Put in my chat right now who your brother look like. I back to the real show. Who did brother here look like though? Let's go.
Dubé. I don't want to hear either a prosecution or a defense side. A citizen cannot force a search on somebody else's boat. So Crump or Mrs. or Nolan's mother,
Peter Paul,
they cannot force a cadaver dog or a scent dog search on the Triton. Law enforcement needs to bring out a cadaver dog and a scent dog. It's just real simple. It's not hard. Do you agree? They are the ones with authority to do that.
Of course. A lot of these thought leaders and crusaders, the thought leaders and the crusaders can all request it and make sure that there's an in-depth, thorough investigation. but they cannot physically and personally initiate it or enforce all the procedures that are necessary to get that underway. One thing they can do, though, is go to the DA's office and ask that it be included as part of the grand jury investigation. Because believe me, Nancy, the grand jury starts investigating and wants all of these materials, including access to the boat, access to the cell phone. It's going to happen. Otherwise, they will suffer the pains of contempt of the grand jury.
Dubay, my point is, Crump, nor Nolan's mother, nor anybody on their team can issue a subpoena or a directive or give permission for somebody else's boat to be searched. So when that was put to Crump, he doesn't have the authority to do that. He's a lawyer. He knows that. And it's not the friend's prerogative either. It's law enforcement needs to go do it. I can't come search your home. That would be trespass.
Correct.
Law enforcement has to do it. That's a yes, no. I don't need a legal discourse. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Hi guys, Nancy
She
Grace
said
here.
yes or no?
Please join us on Crime
She
Stories
said
streaming
yes or
first
no?
on Fox 1. When breaking
I,
crime news develops,
Nah, I
we
done told you about doing that. I done told you about trying to do that. I told you about that now. I told you about trying to put that promo out there. I know, I understand, we together and everything, but I told you, you got a monetized channel, I got a monetized channel. You just sit back. Okay, I understand. God dang, I understand. You're trying to get the promo and the ads up. I understand. But I told you, when you on my channel, you don't do that, okay? All right? Okay. She understand. She understand, y'all. We good. This is the time to light up that trash ass Reggie that y'all be burning on. If you be burning. Yeah. This is the time to light up that trash ass Reggie gang. I'm just being honest. This is the time. This is the time. Hold up, gang. We finna get back into it. Trash ass Reggie, y'all be damn burning on. Trash ass Reggie. Hold up, gang. Y'all get the lights up for me. What's that word on it? Well, we're gonna live like a bit that. It's alright. I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping. I ran that bit through the roof.
You know where
Let's
Nolan
get
Wilson's
back.
phone
Let's
is.
get back to it,
The
gang.
family may have it.
Appreciate the ones
or
that chilled out
it
in that
may
bit.
have been seized or handed over to law enforcement. And if it hasn't, then they, law enforcement, need to issue a warrant for it. It's really not hard. You've executed warrants before, I'm sure. So have I.
Well, you're going to have a reason to get a warrant. And if it's a criminal investigation and they believe that they can find evidence of a crime, if they had access to his phone, I could see them getting a warrant to extract his phone outside of the parent's will. But if you're looking at a potential drowning and there's no criminal element involved and the parents are refusing to give over the phone, they don't believe it's any material evidence there. No, I'm saying this is what the law enforcement agency.
These questions anymore.
Nancy,
I'm
this is
not
what the
saying
law.
they're
I'm giving you a law enforcement perspective.
Nobody said Nolan. You know what? We're really chasing our tails here. We don't know that Nolan's family has refused to hand over the phone. My simple question to you is: law enforcement, if they want the phone, get a warrant for the phone. Go get the phone, or
Nancy, they
communicate
don't want
to the
phone.
family. Give me the phone.
Nancy, there could be two things afoot. I'm not a part of the investigation, but I can see if they haven't gotten the phone yet, it's because they don't need the phone and they don't want the phone. It's not there of evidentiary value if there is no suspect here. If it was a drowning and there's indications of a drowning, they may not need it, Nancy, so they're not going to go get it. If they need it, they would have already had it a month ago.
Stop. Okay. Brandon Tatum, are you a medical examiner?
No, I'm not.
Look how she looking at him.
Okay.
Look how she looking at him
what
now.
I've been told, and correct me if I'm
Are you
wrong.
a medical examiner?
Don't smile at me.
Okay.
It's not working.
I'm trying.
From what I understand, let's go to the expert. Joe Scott Morgan is joining me, professor of forensics. Excuse me,
Give it up.
Joseph
Give it up
Scott
for
Morgan,
the
professor of
KFC
forensics,
man.
Jacksonville State University.
My bad.
World-class
My bad.
criminal program. Author of Blood Beneath My Feet on YouTube. Star of a hit series, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. Death investigator. Over 10,000 death investigations under his belt. Joe Scott.
You didn't have to throw that in there,
Correct
Nancy.
me if you know
You didn't have to throw that in
or
there.
Susan Hendricks, Dave Mack, jump in, please. Feet first. Both medical examiners have stated to the effect, one says undetermined now, because we're waiting on, I think, toxicology. We don't know the answer. The second one has said undetermined cause of death. That's a yes, no. Isn't that true? We don't have a cause of death yet.
That has been made public. No. They said last week.
So
Hang
Brandon
on.
Tatum,
They said last week. They said last week that the autopsy report is complete, which means they have tox, histo, and they've probably got a cause of death.
Okay, but we don't have the cause of death.
We don't. It has not been released yet.
And the
Why y'all think they won't release? Hold up, wait.
Yeah,
because you didn't have any organs to examine.
Listen, gang. Why you think they did that, gang? Why you think they ain't go ahead and release the autopsy results right away, just like they did? Remember the private investigation? Remember the private autopsy? They released that right away, right? Because it was a private autopsy, I guess. But why you think they didn't release that main autopsy, gang? Y'all let me know in the chat, gang.
Exactly. Officer Tatum.
Why are they presented to his why they presented to the jury and not to the world first? Why is they taking this to court anyways? If nothing happened to Nolan, why all this going to court? I'm just asking, gang. I'm just asking y'all. I don't know everything. I'm asking y'all. Maybe y'all know more than me. Let's go.
You keep saying it was a drowning. I have responded, are you a medical examiner? You said no. So, How do you know what happened other than what you've been told? I don't know what happened.
Right.
I don't know if he was
That's what I'm saying, Princess.
I don't know if he got drunk and drowned. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Princess. Bump us. Bump the world. Why not his family? Yeah, you right. Bump the world. You right. You right about that though, Princess. I'm with you on that one now. Bump us. This family. Why you ain't presenting to his family? That's real there now.
I have to push, and Nancy, I have to push back on you on this. I did not say it was a drowning. I gave you two options. I said the police could be investigating a crime, and if they're investigating a crime and they have suspects
that right.
evidence, they will extract the phone with a search
but you know what?
Against the family's
But you know
will.
what? But you know what? It probably done got to the point, Princess, they can't even trust the mom and them neither. Because I understand that with her, but she presented, if they tell the mother, I'm talking about it's a big chance that she gonna come to the world and let them know something. It's something, I'm telling y'all, think about this, y'all. It's something they didn't want us to know yet for a reason. Whether it was good or bad. I'm just gonna be honest. It may seem strange, y'all. Y'all might be saying I'm tripping, but it's a reason they didn't want us to know the results yet, gang. I'm just gonna be honest, gang. I'm talking about if they ain't want the family to know yet, and they only present it to a grand jury. I'm just saying, gang. I'm just saying, man. I might be tripping. I'm just saying, gang. That's just me.
If they do not believe that they're investigating a crime that's been committed and it is a drowning, according to them, they may not need the phone, so they're not gonna do a warrant to extract the phone against the family's will. So that's all I'm saying, Nancy. I did not say I know for a fact whichever way it went. I really don't know, and nobody knows except for the people that are investigating.
I heard you.
No, I just made mention that they may be investigating it as a drowning. The initial findings, or at least the initial report that came out. Are you
going to make mommy do a playback? Am I going to have to do a playback?
Nancy, I did not say that it was a drowning. I said that they could have investigated as a drowning or as a suspect involved in a murder, and that's why they would do certain things and not do others.
My point is, Tatum, we don't know the answer, and this is an investigation to find out what happened. And when you have an investigation, you subpoena documents, items, testimony. There's a grand jury set. That means there is an investigation. You know what a grand jury is, right? They investigate. They have two tasks. One, as an investigation arm. Two, as a charging arm. In both cases, they gather evidence. If they find out this was an accidental drowning, so be it. If they find out he had help getting drowned, so be it.
That'd be crazy.
Here, and
that'd be crazy if he had help. That'd be crazy. How many people think he had help? I know how a lot of y'all feeling in here. A lot of y'all probably is feeling like something really happened to Nolan. Do y'all think something really happened to Nolan, y'all, or y'all just going with what everybody else done said? Do y'all honestly feel on the inside of y'all? If y'all got feelings, a lot of people don't got feelings, but can you reach deep down on the inside and say, you know what, something happened to Nolan, or nah, man, it ain't that happened to Nolan. A lot of people just tripping. Let me know in the chat real quick, gang. Y'all gotta let me know, man.
With this, I think you agree. It's not to harm anyone's reputation.
Yes, he was drunk.
Bury somebody unwarrantedly.
Accidentally.
Name.
Okay, hold on, let's wait. I think he just did. Yeah, he had help. I don't even think it was him. I think he just knows what happened. But they put him as the mouthpiece. They picked the wrong one. That's crazy. If they were innocent, they wouldn't have to jump through all these hoops. Okay. I see how y'all feeling. Somebody say, I think Bart did it. What is Bart? Where is Bart and Katie?
Name the wrong person. I'm not naming anybody. I want to know what happened to Nolan. I don't understand why so many people are upset about that. And speaking of drowning, I'm actually glad you brought that up, Tatum. To Joe Scott Morgan, death investigator.
Man, I'm loving this new
Palisade.
Yeah.
Every time I drive, I feel like I'm in a movie now.
I can do this all day.
Make every day feel epic in the Hyundai Palisade Hybrid.
It could be that he did drown, but that does not rule out foul play. It doesn't rule it in. It doesn't rule it out. Explain.
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, drowning, just so you understand, if somebody, say for instance, has a head injury, right, and they fall into a body of water, all right, that can lead to drowning, right, because they might still be unconscious but capable of breathing. And of course, if you're in a water environment, you're going to be taking on water. I've worked cases where water has actually been weaponized as a means to take someone's life. But I've also worked, Nancy, a lot of cases involving accidental drownings where people fall over the side of boats. I've even had homeless guys that have passed out face down in mud puddles and have drowned. You never can predict, how any of this is going to happen. All we can do in the morgue, the medical legal community, is assess what we see at that moment in time. When we're trying to look at the lungs, we're trying to look actually at the inner ear. That's one of the areas that we go to with drowning. And we try to assess the brain as well, because you can have the brain begin to swell in these certain circumstances. So there is a huge recipe that goes into this when you're trying to do a fatal diagnosis here. When you're trying to come up and make this assessment, you want to do it necessarily. I think it's best you try to do this independent of maybe what the police are saying, what friends are saying. You objectively look at the science of what's before you, and then after that, you go back in and factor in some of the circumstantial information.
You're seeing video given to us by Officer Tatum's show. Look at all the people out there. Speaking of witnesses, Joe's got you dead on. Thanks, Tatum. Because you know what? Somebody saw something, somebody knows something, and they are not coughing it up. And we're going to keep on until they do. Now, speaking of the friends, as you call them, I have no reason to believe them or disbelieve them. This is what you told me earlier. Back to Officer Tatum, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. Have the friends taken polygraphs?
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me, that they all passed. And all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a polygraph test. Why do you say that's from what you
understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lot to take the test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lie detector test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's a different methodology. I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if people were telling the truth or not.
Did they take a polygraph would be no. Officer Tatum, number one, they did not take polys. Number two, Warren, as you refer to him, did not take the voice analysis. Why did he not take a voice analysis? Number one. And number two, since we spoke on this last, have they taken polys? And if not, why not?
Okay, let me just make sure clear, because I think the internet went in a frenzy about this. It's a computer voice stress analysis is what I was referring to. None of this is admissible in court, and I don't think it has the weight to concern anybody or whether or not anyone took it or not. I just thought it was important to show the cooperation that they had with the police even more cooperation, I believe, almost than the Nolan family. I mean, the boys have given their phones over to the FBI voluntarily, and we still haven't gotten Nolan's phone from the family to the police. So,
are you back on the phone? Because you don't know. You've already said you don't know where the phone is. It could be sitting on the sheriff's desk for all I know.
If they did it in the last 10 minutes, maybe that could be true.
Oh, so you knew before you joined us tonight that Nolan's family had not handed over the phone?
Well, I have no information to believe it was handed over. The last report from their attorneys that they hadn't handed it over.
So that was your, quote, understanding, just like you had an understanding that they took a poly and then clarified they did not take a poly. Okay, they have not taken a poly. You don't know why Warren hasn't taken a test. And a computer stress test is a voice analysis. It's not the same as a poly. You also, I asked you earlier, are you a medical examiner? And you stated no. I know you're a star on YouTube. I know you have a huge following. I know you're highly popular. I know you're a former police officer. Are you a Juris Doctor? Are you a lawyer?
No, I'm not. I've worked with lawyers.
Okay, because polygraphs are admissible in court. Bam! Providing, providing the parties stipulate ahead of time that they will be allowed. I don't care if you've never heard of it.
Nancy is not gonna. I don't know of a trial that has happened, from our understanding in recent time, that somebody put a polygraph before a jury and it was effective. I mean, there is a lot of flaws in the polygraph test.
Have you ever heard of? Let's see. What was his name? Control. Oh yeah, O.J. Simpson.
Well, that was a long time ago. I'm saying
in the civil trial and showed he was a big fat liar.
Well, what I'm saying is there has not been significant usage of polygraphs in the court of law because there's too many flaws. Even as a police officer, we don't even use polygraphs anymore. Most police departments use the computer voice stress analysis. And neither one of them,
that's not true.
I would trust. Most police departments do not use the polygraph test anymore. They're moved towards the computer stress analysis. My head of security, when he went to the police department, they used the computer stress analysis. And it's not even foolproof. I mean, I would not trust somebody to use that for anybody's
statements. Did they take a polygraph? In the famous words of the Bard, Shakespeare.
Nancy,
doesn't test too much. All I said was, did they take a poly? And the answer is no.
They took a voice stress analysis.
Hi guys, Nancy Gracie. You are a homeowner. You probably thought.
Did he take a poly or what? Did they take a poly or what, gang? Do y'all think they took a poly or what?
Maintenance fees.
Did they take a poly or what? That's what she asking him. It's a yes or no question.
Banking fees are just a part of modern.
Does your heartbeat, your rhythm, your perspiration, your blood pressure, whether you're sweating, your eye blinking, the whole kit and caboodle?
I can address why it's certainly not admissible. Either one of these are not admissible and in criminal court. Okay, and that they
Pause
have no
right there. Hold on, before you take one more step. Are you a lawyer and nobody told me? Go ahead and get mad. I don't care. You're not a lawyer. Dubay, you are a lawyer.
Wait.
Dubay, isn't it true?
Wait. Hey, boy. Hey, she put these niggas in a pot, boy. Boy, she put all them niggas in a pot, boy. I ain't gonna count. Hey, hold up. Wait. Boy, I like that. But she wasn't playing. You see how he looked at when she said that? Man, she put the niggas in the pot. Man, hold up. Man, she put these niggas in the pot, gang. Wait.
Okay, and that they
Pause
have no
right there. Hold on, before you take
Wait.
one more step. Are you a lawyer and nobody told me? Go ahead, get mad. I don't care. You're not a lawyer. Dubay.
Hey, she got no bit of cooking these niggas like that, now. I ain't gonna count. She got a
You
bit
are
cooking.
a lawyer.
What she cooking them?
Dubay, isn't it true?
Hey, she was cooking them, boy.
If both parties stipulate ahead of time in a criminal case, which practically never happens. But if they do, that poly is allowed in court.
If the judge deems it relevant,
But
it
he
still
could
has
be
to meet the
dead,
relevance.
So then, yes, don't go off on me. The answer is yes. We both know the law. It's a yes.
It's a yes. It's a hell.
So, okay. So there you go, Morgan and Tatum. I hope you have learned something tonight. That said, Joe Scott, as much as I respect you as a death investigator, don't give me the law. Don't. I'll go to Dubay for that.
I'll give you forensic science. I'll give you forensic science, and I will tell you why neither one of these tests are. Yeah, okay, because they're not quantifiable. If you look at the Fry test, if you look at the Dauber test.
Okay, never mind.
You did
Stop.
not. No.
Stop.
Listen.
Do I need to Google it? Because I will.
I'm trying to give you. I'm trying to give you some proof here
stop.
that has utility.
I asked you the difference in a voice analysis and a poly. That's the question. Let me refresh your recollection. Do you know the difference?
No. I don't want to know the difference because it has no utility.
Okay, fine. That's all you had to say.
In a criminal
I'll tell you
case.
the difference. Okay. They are admissible if stipulated. A polygraph measures all sorts of data on your body. It is much more reliable than a voice analysis. For all I know, these friends took a voice analysis because it was readily available. I don't know why they did that over a poly. There could be an innocent explanation. They didn't have to do anything, but they did. They did do something, or at least most of them did. That's the question. I want to know, has the boat? I want to know where the phone is. I want to know, have they taken a poly? Is that asking so much? To Tanya Jordan joining us, and Officer Tatum, please jump in if you have a question. If you want to contradict something, I want to know. I want to know the truth. To Tanya Jordan, she's Chief Parent Officer at BARC Parental Control. He's the author of Parenting in a Tech World. To Tanya, we were speaking to Heather Barnhart earlier tonight. Could you explain how a snap disappears and whether it can be grabbed back out of the cloud? Same thing with DMs. Same thing with text messages, photos. A lot of teens think because they hit delete, it's gone. It's not.
It's not. And with regards to Snap, if you send a photo or video and the other person hasn't opened it yet, it sits live on Snap's server for up to 30 days. Same with unread texts. Now, if law enforcement sends Snapchat a valid legal request before the message is deleted, Snapchat will freeze that data and hand it over. But if the message was already deleted before the police asked for it, Snapchat apparently cannot retrieve it.
Isn't it true, to Tanya Jordan, that modern technology can prove whether you have deleted anything? There is a digital trail showing if you have deleted photos, text messages, videos, all of that.
Absolutely. I mean, so many people don't even realize that on Apple phones, when they go to delete a photo, there's a whole folder in there.
How many people agree with Nancy right now?
Where they live for at least another 30 days.
Is y'all rocking with Nancy?
Your digital trail is so hard to erase. It's why tech experts like myself tell you when you have old tech that you're no longer using, don't immediately recycle it. Don't throw it away. You've got to give it a water bath to fry every component inside of it, because you can dig up a digital trail very easily, and nothing disappears when you're dealing with technical aspects.
And so to you, Tatum, star of the Officer Tatum, we can find out if the friends are telling the truth. It's not going to be hard. They may be telling the truth. We didn't delete anything. That may be true. So it's a digital investigation, and frankly, it's not hard to do. The friends, who I believe now are your friends, after your extensive interviews with them,
you see how she throw that in there?
On that.
Look how Nancy throw that in there by stop 6.
My question to you is, you're stating that the friends, I'm talking about the young man on the Triton, that the friends have handed over their phones.
Yes, ma'am. They've handed over their phones to the FBI voluntarily. I
find that very commendable, because do you know how hard it is to get people to hand over a phone? That's why you have to issue a search warrant or a ducus tecum. So they have handed over their phones voluntarily.
Yes, ma'am. According to the lawyer and according to what they told me, they said they handed over to the FBI voluntarily. And the sad part is that I wish that Nolan's phone could be evaluated, because there have been claims that had not been substantiated, and I believe that the claims should have never gone out in the public unless they were substantiated. That there was a potential that things were deleted from his phone, which put these young boys in a bad position unnecessarily. It's not fair to say that you're throwing out that things were deleted, but obviously mom can't determine if they were deleted because she couldn't do a forensic investigation on the phone, so she really don't know. Which I'm not knocking her as her baby.
Deleted file and found things.
Well, she was within Nancy.
Deleted file and found things, and we don't know that.
And she would have told.
I agree with you.
But Nancy, she would have told the world.
I think you got it bass backwards, Tatum. Nobody.
She would have told the world if she would have found. She would have told the world, Nancy, if she would have found certain things that were actually deleted. She'd come out. I'm sure Benjamin Crump would have come out. I would commend her to come out and encourage her to. If she saw that a picture of Nolan was deleted, a text from Nolan was deleted specifically talking about or inferencing certain things. If any of those things had happened, I would guarantee it should be criminal if they would not turn that over to law enforcement, so law enforcement can evaluate the phone and see if there were individuals communicating or deleting communication, because that is a crime. We just seen that happen in Texas, where young boys, there's a young man that drowned, they go and delete stuff off his phone, throw his clothes in the water, and they were arrested for tampering with evidence. And so if there had been deletions on the phone, even if there hadn't been a determination that anyone had murdered Nolan, tampering with evidence or deleting evidence, potential evidence, is a crime. And so the fact that the family, from my understanding and what the lawyers have said, that they haven't given this information over to law enforcement for them to evaluate, it's very troubling to me.
Okay, again, for the millionth time, you don't know they haven't. And I don't know that they have. But what you're saying about tampering with evidence is absolutely true. But I have no reason to believe that Nolan Wells' family has tampered with evidence. That said, I think you've got things bass backwards. I do not want to convict or hang an innocent person. All I want to know is what happened. And I haven't even gotten to the CETO call. Is it real? Is it fake? I'd like somebody, i.e. you, if you have the original, to put it out there. But that's it. What? Don't go off on that. Susan Hendricks joining us. Susan Hendricks is a veteran investigative journalist. She's the author of the bestseller Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. She exhaustively researched and investigated the double murder of 2 little girls and came to the truth. Susan Hendricks, you've heard all of the evidence that we've got tonight, and there's so much more we haven't gotten to. I want to hear where things stand now. Is there a grand jury? Is there going to be a grand jury? Where is the phone? Was the boat searched? Just enlighten me in any way that you can, Susan Hendricks.
There is a grand jury. They are investigating. You mentioned Delphi. There's hints of this to me, meaning it's being tried in the court of public opinion. And it's troubling to me that we talk about the mom and we don't know that she didn't hand over the phone. So now she has to go on defense. And as Officer Tatum said, the boat has not been searched by cadaver dogs. So we know that. Grand jury is investigating. And The parents have to suffer through this. And also, all attorneys have to say is, I don't think, it's my understanding that she didn't hand over the phone. She wants to know what happened to her son. She wants to know, why wouldn't she hand over the phone? It's just obscene that she has to suffer through this even more.
Well, you hit the nail on the head right there, and you answered a very serious and critical question, and that is, there is a grand jury. Everything Tatum is saying and everything I'm saying, you know that phrase in the Bible, Tatum? We are now looking through a mirror darkly. We're looking through a very murky, grimy glass because we don't know. You are saying one thing. I'm questioning that because we don't know. And in the middle of it all, we have got a dead body of Nolan Wells. I don't want to get tangled up in arguments and vitriol that detracts from finding the truth. And I don't take anybody at face value. I don't suspect anybody, and I suspect everybody. I can't tell who's telling the truth. But we will, God help us, find out what happened to this young man. If you know, or you think you know anything, please dial 228-769-3063.
That's on the air
We
again.
remember America.
That's is on the air. That's is on them. Let's go back and hear Big Crump real quick. Let's go back and hear him out real quick about the Nolan Wells case game right quick. Let's go back. Let's go back and hear Crump out right quick. Let's hear him out right quick.
Ben Crump, happy to have you, my man. Thank
Oh
you, sir.
no. Before we go to Big Crump, let's go to Mathis, what Mathis said. Let's go with Mathis said. Then we'll go to Ben Crump. Then we'll get into the interview. Then I'm telling you, we in here tonight.
So
we in here
much I want to
tonight.
get into. Had to bring you back.
We in here
to
tonight.
follow up on
So
this Nolan Wells
y'all
case.
better be prepared.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We in here tonight.
Indeed. So much to get into. I don't want to waste no time. I want
Let's
to get
go.
right
Turn that
into
bit
it.
up.
How you feel about this second autopsy that was done on Nolan Wells?
Yes, I think when we last spoke, we were awaiting the forensic autopsy because the original autopsy performed by the county examiner, we just weren't convinced it would be independent, quite frankly, because we weren't getting enough information from law enforcement. And so the forensic autopsy came back. And lo and behold, even though they're trying to downplay it, and I understand Ben Crump and NAACP and others don't want to try and jump to conclusion or step too far out, but the forensic autopsy showed that there was what they call discoloration. No, I call them bruises in the back of the head, appearing that someone has had their hand pressed at the back of their head, at the back of Nolan's head. That's concerning to me. And so hopefully we'll get some more insight on that. I'm not sure. It seems like there's another opportunity for them to investigate something physiological. I'm just not sure, because as far as I knew, the forensic autopsy is as far as you go, but we'll see. But yeah, that's what causes new concern. And then you've had different stories coming out from the teenagers. One of the young men himself spoke out about it, claiming they had begged Nolan to get on the boat, and that he wouldn't. Then there's the woman that he's supposed to have stayed back with, I think her name Katie or something. Well, he was supposed to have stayed back with Katie. That was their story. However, Katie's friend says that Katie hasn't, she saw him only in passing on the island, didn't stay with him, and Katie isn't saying anything at all. So it's a lot of moving parts here, and I'm just hoping it's not one of those, quite frankly, and if his friends didn't have anything to do with it, and they truly left him behind, etc., etc. He has discoloration, bruises on the back of his neck. Something happened. And quite frankly, this is Mississippi, where in 1955, which sparked the civil rights movement, Emmett Till was killed for so-called whistling at a white woman. And now we're hearing Nolan Wells stayed back to be with a white woman. And he turns up dead.
Do we know it's
with bruises behind his neck?
This is Judge Mathis speaking on
That's
that guy. I know some of y'all don't
context
saw
I'm
it. I know some of y'all probably don't saw it. Some of y'all ain't. But this Judge Mathis speaking on the Nolan Wells case. Do y'all think it's true what he's saying so far, gang? Shout out to everybody in the building to go.
Listen.
Hey, y'all give me 100 likes.
Perhaps.
Let's get to 100 likes, gang.
Wow. So you
support
feel
the
like
platform, gang. With the super chat, gifts, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's whatever, gang. We in here chilling, rocking out tonight. Let me know how y'all feel, man. I'm watching the chat, I'm reading it. I just don't be reading it out loud. I'm watching.
between Nolan Wells and Emmett Till is similar.
Well, the dynamics are the same.
Chilling.
He's with a white woman, or allegedly said something with, or however you view it, with a white woman, and there's a suspicion that white men killed him. And that was the case with Emmett Till. He so-called whistled as a kid. So-called the woman at the store, white woman says he whistled at her. What happened? White men killed him. And that's why I'm making that analogy. But it could altogether be untrue. But I'm making the analogy as a possibility. And that is the case of my thought processes.
So it was actually bruises behind his neck.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, what else? Why is it only there in the back of your neck, which is coincidentally how you drown somebody? You put the head in the back of the neck and not let them up, and they try and push up, but you got the head down, so the head bruises in the back of the neck because somebody tried to hold it down or did hold it down. I'm only presenting the facts.
Do y'all agree with Judge Mathis?
I only made the analogy to Emmett Till because it's the same optics. However, do I know whether it's the same? Do I know any of the factors that I'm suggesting is accurate? No, but I am making observations about the facts as I see them. And then I am, yes, speculating. And quite frankly, in the law, you're not supposed to speculate. You're supposed to have hard facts. But in this case, since nobody's given us any hard facts, we can't get into the information that we need, then yes, we're left to only speculate.
His organs was missing during his autopsy, right?
Yeah, and they allege now that that's standard. I'm not sure about that, so I can't tell you. I don't know about autopsies in that sense. But they said one of his lungs and then parts of his throat. And I read that that's typical, but I just don't know. And I'm not one to try and find something that is not there. I mean, we have enough that's there that we don't have to go looking too further. Did they take the organs out? Did they do whatever? But that's down the line. What we do know, because we don't know why and the results and what that process is. Are they taking tissues from those organs and analyzing them for further evidence or insights, etc.? We don't know. What we do know is that he left and was left and drowned, and
he was about to say unalive. Did y'all catch that?
And the one that
he was about to say left and he was unalive. Y'all, if y'all didn't catch that
about it, acted as if they pressured him to leave and he wouldn't. However, they left his phone. They have that. They don't present it to his mother as a
Who said
average
that?
person would.
Hold up.
Time I get
Hold
back.
up. Wait. Somebody said something about the mother. Oh no, they were saying something about the autopsy results. But somebody did say something about the mother though.
He didn't
Earlier,
come
I
with
think that
us
was Prince said.
he left his phone. I'm calling your parents. And I understand that they didn't even call him immediately after finding out that he had been drowned or that he had drowned. So that's certainly the time that you call and say, hey, I see he's drowned. I have his phone. No, they waited. And in fact, some of the information had been deleted from that phone that had been there. And put all those things together and the discoloration on the neck and I'm convinced that someone did something wrong. Yes, I am.
If it was bruises behind his neck, yeah, that needs to be looked into. It sounds like he got into an altercation.
And they allege that there's video of him getting into an altercation. I'm not sure if I've seen it or not. I've been paying close attention, but either I've heard or seen that he was involved in an altercation there. And who knows what that altercation is about? Once again, see, brothers, young black boys being raised in upper income white communities, nearly exclusively white, 95%. In many instances, your friends don't feel about you as you may feel about them. There is a racial barrier that exists and will always exist. And your realities are always going to be different. And you're always going to be looked at by your white friends differently. And so to that extent, he may not have understood that to be the case. He may have had trust for those he shouldn't have. He may have had a particular mindset that wasn't quite as rational as it should be when you're growing up in that environment. Sometimes you're irrational and you think you can do the same things that they do and get away with it. No, you can't. Your black behind will go to jail and they'll go to counseling.
Yeah, the friend you referring to is Warren Hudson. He did an interview where he made a comment about how Nolan, he was drinking alcohol on the boat.
Well, they all were. Who are they kidding? They all were. I bet it was, even if they had a 12-year-old on the island, he was drinking. So no, yes, so was he. So was everybody. So did everybody drown with bruises on the back of their neck? Did all the people drinking drown with bruises on the back of their neck? How is that relevant then? Unless he fell off, then you got dozens of witnesses seeing him fall off of a boat that is near the dock because he wasn't on another boat. He stayed behind on the island, perhaps in the dock area. So what's the relevance of him drinking? He didn't get drunk and fall off in the ocean. We do know that. In someone else's boat.
No, we don't know that for sure. We don't know. Now, I'm going to say this. We don't know for sure did he get lit and just fall off in the water. We don't know that for sure. But guess what? Will we ever know? This is what I want to know, gang. Will we really ever know what happened to Nolan? I'm just being honest with y'all. Will we ever know? Will we ever know?
So that's no relevance. That's just like saying George Floyd was high.
I'm talking about the
so
real
therefore
truth.
They had a right to execute him. And so we're saying now, oh, well, Nolan had been drinking. That doesn't give you a right to execute him. When I say execute him, I mean kill, of course.
Yeah, his friend doubled down that Nolan wanted to stay. He also said that it was common for people to leave their phones on the boat for it won't get water damage.
No, not either. You know, no teenager in the world, they would risk the whatever the salt. What is him? Salt water? If you drop it, if you drop your phone in any water, you can drop it while you're on the dock. Drop it while you're in the boat. Drop it, drop it, drop it. So you can drop it in any place in the area of salt water. And so no, everybody, all those young people, it is not common. That's a lie. It is not common, and I have no facts to verify it other than common sense. And I don't believe that a lot of those teenagers actually leave their phones somewhere unattended for hours. That's what he would be suggesting. Because if you come there, you're not coming to the island for 10 minutes. You're coming to hang and party. And you're going to put your phone somewhere? You think I don't believe young people can go an hour without their phone. I don't believe teenagers can go an hour without their phone without start shaking.
So not just teenagers, grown ups too. How many people in the chat can't go without their phone right now? How many people? How many people in the chat right now? Bump it. How many people right now can't go without their phone? Let me know. Go ahead and let me know now. Go ahead and be real with me. How many people right now can't go without their phone? Let's go.
Have to find out. So
correct. Yeah, they had it and didn't turn it in. The only way they found it, as you just said, his mother had to use an app to find the phone, as opposed to them saying, "Oh, we have Nolan's phone," and the news comes on. "Oh, Nolan is missing. Let's call his mom immediately. We don't have her number. Walk to the house."
Shout out to Black Matt.
We didn't know the address.
Shout out to everybody
so he
here.
really wasn't your friend.
I can't. Hold up. Wait. I can. Hold up. Let me see what some of the people, other people said. Me. You was okay. I can. So some people can and some people can't. I see mostly can't. Let's go.
To the truth. You don't even know where he lived. My sons, we did a version of our show today, the Mathis Family Tables, a YouTube show, podcast. And one of the things we discussed is what are real friends? What does real friendship mean?
Hey,
and it was
I like what Black Matt said that day. He said, "I'm on it when I'm asleep." Hey, I like to have my phone playing when I'm asleep too. I ain't gonna cap. I have YouTube playing. Shout out to YouTube. Yeah. Shout out to YouTube, man, for real. But let's go though. I can prefer not to sleep on your phone.
Context of the Nolan Wells case.
I'm guilty.
It was easy for me.
I'm guilty.
It means trust
/
loyalty.
Salute to everybody in the building,
being
man.
able to identify with you.
I'm guilty. I'll be honest.
And
somebody said the same. I want YouTube to sleep in there.
Says, well, you don't have any friends out here in LA. I don't want no friends in LA. I can't identify with them, nor do I trust them. And in fact, if I trust you and love you, you can cross me. I'm going to put you on time out for a minute, but I'm going to re-embrace you out of love. Now, if you did something to me to hurt me, then I'm going to go nuclear on you. But if you did something to help yourself, but not hurt me, I might give you a pass if you're a loved one. But if your objective was to hurt me, I got to hurt you 10 times over. So I say that to say, were they his real friends? Should he have trusted them? Should he have been loyal to them? Should he have believed they would never do anything to harm him, that they would only look out for his best interests? Probably not. He probably didn't know him that well enough to put that type of trust and faith in them.
He also said that he told the United States Coast Guard and Nolan's mom that he was missing.
You call the Coast Guard, and you don't call his mother first. You call the Coast Guard. I mean, these are teenagers. This isn't like these are middle-aged people who, yes, you are a responsible enough person. Okay, I'll call Coast Guard, and I know how they operate, and I know how to communicate with them, and I know the questions they're going to ask, and I know the answers to give. No, you are a teenager. You need an adult to handle those situations, and you need a trusted adult that you go to. You go to either your own parent, you call. You say, Mama, my man is missing. Nolan is missing. What do we do? And they say, call 911 and have you called his parents. Maybe he called them. Well, no, we have his phone. Oh, he left his phone? Yeah, he left his phone. Why did he leave his phone? That's what would have happened. Would you call the Coast Guard if you're a teenager and your man ends up missing? Would you call the Coast Guard first? Or would you call your parents and say, what do I do? Or call his parent and say, what do I do? You're a teenager. You're calling somebody close and informed. Somebody close that you can trust and is informed and is close to him as well. And they didn't do that. Instead, as you say, they called the Coast Guard and told them what? How did they know? How long was he missing? Had they found the body? What'd you call the Coast Guard for? What'd you call the Coast Guard for? He told you he was going to be left behind. Did he have a curfew? Did he tell you he was going to be this amount of time? Why is it that you felt the need to call the Coast Guard at any point before he had been found drowned? There was no need. My man party. Oh, he must have spent the night with her. Oh, man, Nolan getting it in. Shit, we might not see Nolan for a couple of days. Such and such and such and such. Nah, that's how you feel. If you trust that everything is all right with your man, it's only if you think something is wrong that you determine you need to call the authorities.
Great point. That's a real good point. Because even if he did say that he was going to stay, why would you panic and report that he's missing? Even if he is a little late, that just could have been both of them vibing out and hanging out more than expected.
Late what? Late what? Late from what? They don't know when he's coming back. He didn't tell them I'm going to be back at such and such time. He said, I'm staying. They claim that he said, I'm staying back with this woman. If you stand back with a woman, come on now, a teenager, you ain't giving your boys when you're going to get back. You're going to say, I'll see you when I see you. Hopefully it's tomorrow afternoon. After we do what we do. That's the mindset of a teenager staying behind.
Do y'all agree with Judge Mathis?
Going forward, knowing that their boy has been staying behind with his woman. But once again, the woman they claim he stayed with, her sister or best friend, said they only saw Nolan in passing on the island, not stayed with him.
Did you hear about how Warren Hudson, his stepmom, is a judge? And I think she came out with a statement, and she doubled down that, Nolan, he chose to stay behind at the island.
Correct. And I guess it's just as... that's why it gives me such leniency to discuss what I believe to be the case. Another judge who was his mother and certainly biased.
You already know what it is. And that ain't nothing but a blizzard, though.
Issue a press
it's just a blizzard. It's just a blizzard.
Her beliefs in what her son said, which is biased in and of itself. Not one time have I ever accepted as evidence or solid testimony when someone tells me, well, I went over it with my mother and she can tell you. I got a letter from my mother. I got some evidence from my mother. Yeah, I know your mother. I got some evidence from my wife. Yeah, I know your wife gonna tell you what you want me. You're gonna tell me what your wife want me to tell you. Yeah, I know you do. But it's totally discounted because of the bias that is innate in their relationship. So, mother, you're a judge, you're a lawyer, whatever. The innate part of that is that they have a mother-son bond, and nothing penetrates that, not even the law. Some of us might have seen this series called Your Honor, where the sitting judge, his son killed someone accidentally, and that sitting judge harbored his son, protected his son, even breaking the law himself to do it. So certainly, just because his mother's a judge and sticks up for him doesn't make any difference than if she was a sister in the hood with 8 kids trying to make it on her own. Same difference. Mother-son bond. That's it. That's the only credibility I give to her letter. I think I should get a little more credibility. I don't know anybody in it.
Yeah, she got a lot of backlash. A lot of people was accusing her of using her position to defend her stepson. So, yeah, she got a lot of backlash. But it does make you think, do she know more than everybody else? I mean, I'm sure he giving her more information than we all know, so.
No, I just think it's a mother-son bond, and I wouldn't think that she would. Then again, the show I'm talking about, Your Honor, he was conspiring with his son to keep him out of trouble. So there's been, and we say sometimes, does art follow culture, or does art follow society, or does society follow art? So in the case of art, we had a show where a judge whose son committed murder, he conspired with his son to protect him from murder. Well, in real life, we have here a judge who has issued a statement on behalf of her son, who was being discussed regarding the disappearance of someone. And so, yeah, I can't speak too fast about what a judge would do with regard to conspiring to protect a criminal act of their child. Would I do it? Yeah, I guess we're really getting down to those issues of the heart, to be quite frank. Not issues of your profession, issues of the heart. Because I could think of a circumstance or two that I would defend my son had he been wrong. So that's why I give it no credibility. But go ahead.
So the woman that Nolan was talking to, her name was Katie, and her sister Gracie came out and said that Nolan, he actually intended to go back to the mainland with his group.
And didn't she say they hadn't spent a lot of time together while they were there? And stay back specifically to spend a lot of time with her, or they didn't spend a lot of time together, Katie and Nolan.
She definitely said that.
Yeah. And so that kind of defeats the whole explanation that he insisted. We just kept, get on the boat. Get on the boat. Come on, Nolan. You got to get on the boat. You got to get on the boat. And he doesn't, and that, as it turns out, there's no sense of desperation for him to stay off the boat because he has nothing really cooking, if you will, at the moment to be so insistent at being left behind without a ride back.
Yeah, the stories are conflicting. You got Nolan friends saying that he wanted to stay at the island, but you got Katie's sister Gracie saying that Nolan, he intended to go back with his group. So
yeah, a lot of moving parts, and I'm waiting to see about this grand jury and see what they say, because it's based on how the prosecutor presents that case to the grand jury. Grand jury hearings are one way. You don't have those who testified at the grand jury do not have the ability to have legal counsel. They are questioned by the prosecutor in front of the grand jury with the questions and the objectives that the prosecutor is trying to achieve. No defense attorney can say objection, or they can say, let me tell you an alternative scenario or narrative. That doesn't occur. So I don't like grand jury in and of itself. I think grand juries should be abolished. But in the case of,
do y'all agree with that boy Judge? That boy Judge Master, but that boy going off? Hold up, gang.
And not protecting as has been the case in the history of Mississippi over the decades. Protect those who have been accused of racial hostility and racial killings. And so that's what we hope we're not seeing, a cover up. That's the best way to put it. And so we'll see what's presented in front of the grand jury and how they respond. And on that note, when we talk about this, you know, everybody tells us to vote for this president, that president, this U.S. senator, that. As street guys, and I say as because I still identify right where I came from. I'm everything other than a criminal. I'm still the same other than a criminal. But my point is, we complain about voting. Yeah, the hell with a president, a U.S. senator. You know who street guys need to be concerned with? Prosecutors and judges. That's why you vote. So you can you learn who's running for prosecutor. And you look at their record. You learn who's running for police chief or other law enforcement positions that are based on elections, the judge, and determine whether you're going to vote for that person or not. But you got to get out and vote or stop complaining. You see how they railroading us? They send us to jail on trumped up charges, don't get due process, plant stuff on us, shoot us and lie about it like they just did the young man Reese in Madison, Wisconsin. We got to vote for prosecutors. In fact, what we did after the killing of Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, we had an election that I was there, I say we because I was part of that movement, and we worked on electing a new prosecutor and a new mayor. Well, we didn't get the mayor, but we got 2 black council persons on, and we got a new prosecutor. And so that's the power of the vote. And that's what I encourage our brothers to do because it's not going to stop. It doesn't appear that it's going to stop anytime before white supremacy ends. And I give that another 50 to 100 years, unfortunately, about 3 or 4 more generations.
Definitely. And I know that the autopsy, it didn't reveal if he was conscious or not when he got in the water. And I know Ben Crump and his team, they trying to figure that out. Was he conscious or not when he got in the water? So.
Yeah, and I wouldn't know scientifically whether they could, but we do know he had a discoloration, as they call it, bruises on the back of his neck, or red bruise. That we do know that, or red discoloration, which reflects fresh bruises. And if you've been in the water, preserved by water, your tissues, then certainly you'll still be able to see that. It'll still be red.
Yeah, and I know it's also being reported that the autopsy reports done by the state.
That boy did that old person thought just then.
That's what's scary about the grand jury.
Judge Master just did that old person
you
thought.
You don't want us to see it.
How you gonna talking to old? I ain't gonna say old, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay, if your
older
reason is
people,
you don't want to jump to conclusions too soon and ruin folks' lives and cause inflammatory and the community to be inflamed, etc. So let's be very careful and not let much out until we really know what the deal is. Okay, maybe so. On the other hand, let's not let too much out because then they won't get a fair chance at a hearing. All kind of rational ways to protect the guilty.
It's a Hens audio that's going viral right now by Nolan's friend that I want you to check out. Check your phone right quick. I want to get your take on it.
Let hear this audio right quick with Judge Mathis. Salute my dog Vaughn in a bit.
Speaking, how can I help you?
Let's hear it.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
That I did not know that existed. And if this is authentic
Late night flight, bro. That's
radio
it, gang.
transmission between the dispatcher and the caller, then certainly this turns it on its head. They're observing him injured, asking if he's dead. Whoever on that call, with the technology we have now, and with interviews amongst the folks who were there, or the phone that the emergency call came from, the dispatcher has that number. Someone can get it. Then you'll go to the person who made the call and say, what did you see? This is real easy if that is the case. So we'll see what they do with this evidence. The fact that there's some audio from the dispatcher where the person calling asks, or in the background, one or the other, asks, oh my God, is he dead? So that's a whole new level of evidence that I'm interested in seeing where they go with that. And perhaps that's what the prosecutor may have all of this information and say, we're not sharing it because we don't want to bias, we don't want to create bias, et cetera, in the case, because in the media, and she may have that. She may have that and take it right to the grand jury. That's what I'm hoping, if they don't disclose it to the widespread media this week.
Yeah, I don't know how you can justify that audio.
And not with someone in the background saying, is he dead? Even if you were calling to say there was a fight, it sounds like you're looking at something that has already happened, and you witnessed what happened, and you're saying, did he die from what I just saw? That's what you're saying. Oh, is he dead? Or what? Somebody walked you from around the park and said, hey, or around the other boat dock and say, hey, come look at this. No, you were there. So if that video and audio is correct, it's a whole nother level of evidence that indicates culpability.
And just for clarity, what do you personally believe happened to Nolan Wells?
Well, what we're told is that he got on a boat with several white buddies in Mississippi, went to Fun Island, for lack of a better term, where everybody goes to this island to have fun on their boats. Overwhelmingly 90 to 100% white, 99.9 perhaps if you include Nolan. And his buddies say they left him there. He ends up dead. His buddies say we left him there and we told him to come, let's go. He refused to go. However, we had his phone, and you claim that everybody puts their phone away when they're on the island, and I don't believe that for 1 minute, that teenagers leave their phones for hours just because they're on the island. What's the relationship there? You don't want to drop it in the sand, or you don't want the water, you can drop it in the water then. Nonetheless, that, and then of course, them not returning the phone to his mother, time they arrived back, them not reporting him missing to his parents or their own parents. Then we have the young lady, Katie, who you allegedly stayed back to be with. Her sister says that they weren't spending a lot of time with Nolan, and that they also left without Nolan, meaning they had seen Nolan go somewhere when they were leaving. Did y'all just shake, hug, and walk away, and then someone saw him and said, hey, let's get with him because he kissing and hugging on that white woman and we don't play that and don't want to play that? Or is it, as I think it is, that they had something to do with his drowning. And they've come up with a variety of alibis that don't make sense. And so I believe they had something to do with his drowning, or certainly some knowledge of it. They have knowledge of it at the very least.
Judge Mathis, another great interview, very insightful. Definitely gotta bring you back.
This is
man.
crazy,
Keep
gang.
us updated on this case. Before we end the interview,
Hold on, wait. This is crazy. I'm gonna talk to you somebody. I'm gonna let y'all see one more person that really went off. I supposed to play Crump too. I might play him after this person. I might play him after this person right here. Hold on. I'm gonna go to y'all favorite person. Hold on. What is it? I'm gonna go to y'all favorite person right quick. I'm talking about the real person that speak on things and I'm talking when he speak on things, people listen. Yeah, when he speak on things, people listen. When this dude right here that I'm finna play, when this dude here I'm finna play, when he speak on things, everybody listen to him. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people listen. So when he talk, they can't wait till he talk. They can't wait till he talk. Y'all put y'all hands together for the ultimate ready.
stops. The work never stops.
Let's go.
Yes, indeed, man. Had to bring you back on. The
People love
they've
when
been
he
asking
talk.
me to bring you back on for the longest, man. So it was only right to bring you back on. There's so much I want to talk to you about, though, man. There's so much to get into that I want to get your take on. Nolan Wells, how you feel about that situation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nolan Wells. You know, when the case first broke, Art, I just kind of sat back because I knew the YouTubian struggle streamers were going to run with it. I knew the white liberals on YouTube were going to run with it. I knew the white racists on YouTube were going to run with it. And everybody in between. It hurts my heart for Sister Christine, Nolan's mother, to have to see so many people using her son's name and crisis and tragedy for clickbait. And that's one of the biggest reasons, Art, I kind of stood back. It almost reminded me of the Freddie Gray police unaliving in Baltimore back during the Barack Obama era. When Freddie Gray lost his life to those police in Baltimore, everybody rushed to Baltimore. They did the same thing with Michael
OG,
Brown
man.
and Ferguson.
Shout out to everybody in here,
Not
man.
because they
Let's
necessarily
go.
cared about the
He
tragedy,
finna really crank it
but
up.
because they wanted
He
to
finna crank this
benefit
Nolan Wells.
personally from it.
He finna crank up how he
And
really
so
feel.
I stayed away from Ferguson.
Some of y'all seen this, and some of y'all haven't.
And I stayed away from
Some of y'all seen
Wells
this,
situation
and some of y'all haven't.
because I didn't want to
Hey,
look like
I'll repeat myself.
many other
I'll repeat
people.
myself just like he be doing. Some of y'all seen this, and some of y'all haven't. Some brothers and sisters, some of y'all seen this, and some of y'all haven't. Get the lights up, my brothers and sisters. Let's go.
Just jumped in to have something to say, to use that young man's loss of life for clickbait and views. Now that it's been over a month since he lost his life, I think it's okay for me to speak now, because everyone else has kind of given their opinion, their analysis, their synopsis, and their feeling on the situation. So I'm going to give mine. First of all, Nolan Wells, Javon, and I want Javon to hear this, and I want any other black person who was on Devil Horns Island that day to hear this. And I want any black person who was celebrating the 4th of July to hear this. No black person, no black freedman, no black immigrant, no member of the black race at all should have been celebrating July 4th, 2026. No one should have been celebrating America's 250th solar return. And why? Because our ancestors were still enslaved on July 4th, 1776. So why are we on White Devil Horns Island anyway, celebrating George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton and all these other white supremacists and slave masters. Why are we even celebrating them anyway? Nolan shouldn't have been out there. Javon shouldn't have been out there. No black person should have been celebrating the 4th of July, period. We would be enslaved for almost another century after America got her independence. So what are we celebrating for? To celebrate the 4th of July as an African is to celebrate the enslavement of your ancestors and the freedom of your slave masters. It makes no sense. Now, with that being said, I'm not blaming Nolan in any way, shape, form, or fashion for his loss of life. I'm just simply saying he shouldn't have been out there. Now let's take a closer look at this, Art. According to what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and what I've read, Nolan, Warren, Wyatt, and Trayston left for Horn Island the morning of July 4th. According to Warren's own words that he offered during an interview with Officer BT, that's Coon as in C-U-N-E, Coon as in K-H-E-W-N, Coon as in K-U-H-N,
he talking about stop six, Officer Tatum.
C-O-double-N.
He talking about Officer Tatum,
Warren
gang.
did a sit down with Officer BT, and as we all know, BT is White YouTube's pet monkey. He's White YouTube's pet monkey. So Warren sat down for an interview with White YouTube's pet monkey. And he said that they left for Horns Island the morning of July the 4th, and that it was approximately 30 of them spread across 3 boats. Approximately 30 youth spread across 3 boats. They all went to Horn Island together. They arrived at approximately 11:30. So they left around 9-ish, 8, 9-ish, whatever the case may be. They left the morning of July 4th. They arrived on White Devil's Horn Island at about 11:30. So 3 boats, 30 youth, they went together. I'm not clear on whether the 3 boats came back together or not. That's another question that I have, Art. Did they come back together the same way they left together? Because I'm treating all 30 of those white youth and all 3 of those ships as crime scenes and as suspects. All 3 ships are potential crime scenes. All 3 boats are potential crime scenes, and all 30 youth are potential suspects. I don't know why Jackson County Sheriff Ledbetter or Jackson County District Attorney Holrath, I don't know why they decided to separate the boat that Nolan was on. Warren's boat, I don't know why they separated that boat from the other 2 for purposes of investigation and analysis. Because those 3 boats operated as a team. And since they went out there as a team, and it hasn't been made clear to me whether or not they came back together as a team, all 30 white youth and all 3 boats should have been part of this investigation, not just the 1 boat. That is my first big issue with this case. Who decided to separate the other 2 boats and the other 20 or so youth? I got a problem with that, Art, because according to the Cajun Navy, they have no GPS information on the other 2 boats, Art. They have no GPS information on the other 2 boats. Now let's get into this. According to Warren and Nolan's other so-called white friends, they decided to leave the island around 4:30. So they were roughly on White Devil's Horn Island from 11:30 to 4:30. That is about 5 hours. About 5 hours. Now, one question that has to be asked, Art, why did y'all leave so soon? Because they party on Horn Island all day long. Y'all didn't leave at sunset. Y'all didn't leave at sundown. Y'all left after only being there 5 hours.
Hey, hold up. Wait.
And I haven't heard.
Wait, we in here rocking out tonight. It's a Saturday night. Why I don't see no gifts or super chat? Y'all don't fuck with me? Do I gotta turn to P, y'all baby boy? Y'all said y'all love me. Y'all said I can stay here. Bought me all these video games. Fly clothes. Alright, bet. Alright, okay. Alright, bet. I'm just turning to P tonight then. Bet. What did nigga say? What you want, some strawberry soda, Jody Joe? Let me get you some strawberry soda. You don't need no Alizé. You already fired up. Alright, man. Alright, bet.
Heard anybody
I see.
ask
I
any
appreciate
of them,
that gift. Whoever
why
sent
did
that
y'all
gift that
decide
day.
to leave
I couldn't see it
after
because the
only
chat
being
moved back.
there for 5 hours?
That how
Did
y'all
y'all
doing? Super
plan?
chat or give must ain't working. Click the super chats. Hit down at the bottom. Hit that money symbol. Let me know where you from in the super chat. Let me know. Talk that shit, man. Talk. Hey, turn me up tonight, man. What y'all gonna do me like that? Alright, we been in here almost 3 hours. 2 hours and 31 minutes. Y'all gonna do that to me? Oh, y'all gonna do that to me? Alright, okay. Alright, okay. Bet. Brothers and sisters. Okay. So y'all, this is what it is. It is a race thing. Brothers and sisters. I see what this is. My brothers and sisters. I see what this is. But you give your money to the white man. Brothers and sisters. Alright. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing, y'all. But no, I ain't playing about the donation though. I ain't playing about the donation though. Let's go.
And to only be on White Devil's Horn Island for 5 hours? Why did y'all leave at that time? But we'll deal with that later. So then, let's listen to Javon, Nolan's other best friend. Now, another problem I got with this whole story arc is Nolan allegedly had too many best friends. I'm trying to find out, how does Nolan have so many best friends? And why did all of these so-called best friends leave their best friend on White Devil's Horn Island without his cell phone and keys? I'm trying to figure this out. So Javon claims he's Nolan's best friend. Warren claims he's Nolan's best friend. And Trayston allegedly claims that he's Warren's best friend. So did Warren have 3 best friends? Excuse me. Did Nolan have 3 best friends? Did Nolan have 13 best friends? Did Nolan have 30 best friends? Because if Javon is the best friend of Nolan, and if Warren is the best friend of Nolan, and if Trayston is the best friend of Nolan, exactly how many best friends did Nolan have? Are y'all making this up? Who did Nolan tell Warren was his best friend? Who did Nolan ever tell Trayston was his best friend?
I told you.
I'm not going to question.
I told you how he be doing. Wait. We gotta rewind that one. I told you how he repeat himself over and over. Let's go.
Best friends leave their
We heard you the
best
first
friend
time, Omar.
on White Devil's Horn Island.
Let's go.
Without his cell phone and keys.
Get the lights up,
I'm
gang.
trying to figure this out.
Let's get 200 lights.
Javon claims
Let's go.
he's Nolan's
But
best
we ain't
friend.
here tonight.
Warren
We
claims
chilling.
he's Nolan's best friend. And Trayston allegedly claims that he's Warren's best friend. So did Warren have 3 best friends? Excuse me. Did Nolan have 3 best friends? Did Nolan have 13 best friends? Did Nolan have 30 best friends? Because if Javon is the best friend of Nolan, and if Warren is the best friend of Nolan, and if Trayston is the best friend of Nolan, exactly how many best friends did Nolan have? Are y'all making this up? Who did Nolan tell Warren was his best friend? Who did Nolan ever tell Trayston was his best friend? I'm not going to question Javon because he's a brother. And I do believe that there's a strong chance that they may have been best friends. And I say that not only because Javon is a brother, Art, but I also felt that Javon, through the investigation team and alley-oop, with some of the answers that he gave on TMZ. Some of Javon's answers, in my opinion, kind of made it clear to me he actually cared about Nolan. He actually cared about Nolan. I believe Javon actually cared about Nolan, and because of that, I'm willing to say that Javon may have actually been Nolan's best friend. I wish somebody would have asked Javon Art, to your knowledge, has Nolan ever called Warren his best friend? Has Nolan ever called Tristan his best friend? To your knowledge, Javon, has Nolan ever told you that Warren and Tristan were best friends of his? Because Art, I'm having a problem with this three best friend narrative. Okay? I used to be 18 years old. You might have one best friend. You may have two. Don't get me wrong. If you all hang in a pack, you could have three best friends. But according to Javon's own words, Art, he didn't really hang around with them other guys too much. That's what I allegedly thought I heard him say. He didn't hang around with them guys too much. So if you got 2 or 3 or 4 best friends, you guys normally travel as a group. Javon seemed like he kind of spent most of his time with Nolan alone, just the two of them, not with Tristan and Warren. Although he knew them, it didn't appear that he hung out with them on the regular. So how could they all then be best friends? It's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's unlikely. So, according to Javon Art, he saw Nolan at 340 on the island.
Hey, appreciate that gift, Angel.
What I heard him say,
appreciate that, guy.
TMZ allegedly.
That's what I'm talking about.
He had another friend.
Appreciate that gift, Angel. Angel, appreciate that gift. Angel, appreciate that gift. Angel, appreciate. All right. Let me chill out. Let's get back to it. Let me chill out. Shout out Dr. Umar.
And that he left Nolan at about 3:40 to go check on his buddy, because according to Javon, his buddy was on another ship, and the parents of whomever on this other ship were trying to get him off the island because he was crashing out. He never said who this friend was. He never exactly told us what happened. But he said, I left at 3:40 to go check on my friend on another boat because, quote unquote, well, these are not his words, I'm paraphrasing. He was kind of wilding out, crashing out, and he needed to help calm him down. I'm paraphrasing. He said when he got back, Nolan was nowhere to be found, and I'm paraphrasing. And Nolan's boat that he came on, Warren's boat, the so-called Big Daddy, the 22-foot Triton, had already left the scene. So according to Javon, I left Nolan at 3:40 to go deal with another situation. I came back, he was gone. According to Katie, the white girl who Nolan's white best friends are trying to use as an alibi in this situation. Okay, because they claim, and Warren said the same thing to Officer B.T. Coon when he spoke with him. They claim that Nolan told them, I'm going to hang back on this island and talk to Katie. You guys go ahead and I'll get back however I get back. Again, I'm paraphrasing. But guess what? We learned through Katie's sister that Katie said she has no knowledge of Nolan ever saying that. In fact, Katie said, Art, that Nolan told her, I got to get ready to head back to the boat because my friends are leaving soon. That don't sound like somebody who plans on staying, Art. Okay? According to her sister, Katie said Nolan told Katie, it's time for me to head back to the boat because my friends are going to be leaving soon. As far as I'm concerned, Art, Javon and Katie both threw us an alley-oop. Javon and Katie are throwing Sheriff Ledbetter of Jackson County an alley-oop because neither one of them are corroborating the story of Nolan's white friends on that boat. In fact, Javon said, this ain't adding up. Javon said, it's not like Nolan to say, you guys go ahead and leave me on this island and I'm just going to stay back to talk to this girl who I barely know. According to Javon, It don't make no sense. Javon ain't stupid, Art. That's his friend. He know damn well Nolan didn't tell them that he was going to stay back on that ship. And then Katie, I'm going to give a little bit of respect to Katie on this situation. Because as a white girl, Art, for her to come out and say that is not what happened, for her to come out and say that Nolan told me I got to get back to the boat because my friends are leaving, for her to say that, Art, that took a little bit of courage and honesty. That took a little bit of integrity. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to give her too much credit because she is trying to clear her name. What Katie is basically doing, Art, is she's saying, listen, y'all did whatever y'all did to Nolan, but you're not going to add me to the narrative. I'm not serving as nobody's alibi. I'm not helping nobody get out of this situation. You're not going to use me as a decoy, but I still appreciate Katie speaking up for Nolan, Art, because she didn't have to do it. Although she's trying to protect herself and stay out of the investigation, I appreciate Katie for letting the world know Nolan told me I got to head back to the boat because my friends are getting ready to leave. Now, according to Katie, Art, she spoke to Nolan sometime between 3 and 4:30. Now, her window appears to be wider than everybody else's window. So Javon's window is much smaller. He said, I saw him at 3:40, went to deal with another situation. By the time I came back, they were gone. Katie said I spoke with him between 3 and 4:30. And I allege, Art, one of the reasons that Katie is making her window so wide is she's trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, allegedly. I think Katie trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, Art. Now,
How many
according to
times you gonna
sister
say it,
Christine,
gang? God
and
dang,
my heart
Omar.
goes out to Sister Christine, Nolan's mother. My heart
Brothers and
deeply,
sisters.
deeply goes out to you, Queen.
How many times Omar
According
gonna
to
say that?
Christine, Art, she heard from a coach who ran into Nolan on the island as well. And according to the coach, he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30. So Javon didn't see him after 3:40. The coach spoke to him sometime between 2:30 and 3:30. And Katie said her conversation with Nolan was between 3 and 4:30. So you know what that means, Art? We can pretty much digest, conclude that Nolan was likely to have been unalived, Art, sometime within the hour of 3:30 to 4:30. I'm going to insinuate that Nolan's life was taken because I do not believe he accidentally drowned. If he drowned, he was forcibly drowned, and we'll get to that in a minute. If Nolan drowned, he was forcibly drowned. He did not accidentally drown. He was a great swimmer. Miss me with the nonsense. That boy did not drown. If he drowned, it was by force. So again, Art, all three of these people, arguably the last three to see him alive, except for those who took his life, Katie, the coach, and Javon, are arguably the last three people to see Nolan alive, except for those who took his life on that boat, allegedly. That's my position. So they're all basically cutting off around 3:30, Art. Remember, they made the call for the emergency CTO at 4 o'clock. Javon said he cut out 3:40. The coach, 3:30. They made the call at 4 o'clock. That conversation we heard, the CTO call, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that took place at 4. It sounded like there was some struggling going on in the background. Nolan could have been getting unalived while they were making the call, Art. Nolan could have been getting unalived while they were making the call.
How many people believe
Nolan
that?
could have been getting choked out while they was on the phone with Cito.
How many people believe that? How many people believe that?
Is Nolan lost his life somewhere within the hour of 3:30 to 4:30. Now, before we go any further, Art, I need Ben Crump, investigation team, and Sheriff Ledbetter's investigation team to have a conversation with Javon, because according to Javon's statements on TMZ, the police never spoke to him. And I have serious concerns with the manner in which this investigation has been carried out so far, Art. I have very serious concerns with the manner in which this investigation has been carried out so far. So anyway, Javon said police never spoke with him. Why? We need a conversation with Javon, not because I think he's a suspect. I believe Javon is innocent, but we need to find out what he knows. That's number one. We also need a conversation, Art, with the coach. Who is this coach that Sister Christine said contacted her and told her he had a conversation with Nolan on the island between 2:30 and 3:30? We need to find out what he knows. And according to Katie's sister, she is already cooperating with the authorities. But here's why those three got to be spoken to, Art. Not only so we find out what they know, Art, but did they see each other during their conversation with Nolan? Because Javon, if you was talking to Nolan and left him at 3:40, and if Katie was talking to Nolan sometime between 3 and 4:30, and if the coach was talking to Nolan between 3:30 and 4:30, Art, at least two of you should have ran into each other. Did the coach see Javon? Did Javon see the coach? Did the coach see Katie? Did Katie see the coach? Did Katie see Javon? Did the coach see Katie? Or if all three of them are saying they saw Nolan for the last time, roughly within the same hour and a half, Art, did y'all run into each other? Let me tell you why I'm asking this question, Art. And I'm not throwing no shade at my brother Javon. I like Javon. I'm not throwing no shade at Miss Katie McCormick. I don't know her. I'm not throwing no shade at the coach, Art. But the reason I need to know why all y'all put y'all time within the same frame, and you may have not possibly seen one another, Art, are you guys keeping yourself out of the window of witnessing this crime by saying you didn't see him after 3:30? I want you to follow what I'm saying here, Art. It's kind of interesting that they all saw him last at 3:30, not after 3:30. Javon 3:40, roughly 3:30. My point is, Art, for all three of them to have the same exact time, if they did not see each other at all during these conversations with Nolan, are they pushing up the window of time during which they saw Nolan so they cannot be included in this investigation as a witness to a crime? In other words, Art, I don't think Javon had nothing to do with it.
I appreciate that, Gil Dwayne.
But is he saying he saw Nolan a little earlier than he saw him so he can't be pulled into the investigation? I don't think Katie had nothing to do with the crime. But is Katie putting her conversation with Nolan a little earlier than it actually took place to make sure she can't be dragged into the investigation as a witness to a crime? Is it possible that the coach is putting his conversation with Nolan earlier than what it was, Art, to make sure he cannot get dragged into the investigation? I don't think they had anything to do with it, but they could have been a witness to a homicide, Art. They could have been witness to a homicide. If they did not see each other, if none of those three people, the coach, Javon, and Katie, if they did not see each other at all talking to Nolan, if none of them saw each other talking to Nolan, at least two of them are lying about the time they last saw Nolan. Are you following me, Art? All I'm saying is I have my suspicions as to whether or not this convenient 3:30 cutoff window, I have my suspicions that this convenient 3:30 cutoff window may have not actually been the time they saw Nolan. They may have saw Nolan closer to the time he lost his life. Now stay with me, Art. I want to back up for a minute. And I want to say this to Brother Elmore, Nolan's stepfather. And I want to say this to Coach Tracy, who I believe was one of Nolan's coaches. Brother Elmore, the stepfather, and Coach Tracy, the coach, both said on national television, Art, that they don't think race played a role in this at all. Elmore, Tracy, two dark-skinned black men in Mississippi, and both of them said on national television, I don't think race had anything to do with this case. I am disappointed in Brother Elmore. I am disappointed in Coach Tracy. How dare you help these young people avoid the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. federal hate crimes law, Art, by you saying you don't think this had anything to do with race, Brother Elmore and Coach Tracy. You are helping these white folks avoid federal hate crimes charges. And let me tell you why this is important, Art. Let me tell you why this is important. Under the federal hate crimes law, Matthew Shepard, James Byrd, signed by Barack Obama, 2009. Under the Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, you can go to jail for life. You can go to jail for life under the Federal Hate Crimes law. So if you can go to jail for life under the Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, why is Nolan's stepfather and coach telling white folks they don't think it had anything to do with race? I still love my brother Elmore. I still love my brother Coach Tracy. But would y'all please watch what comes out of your mouth during this investigation? Because you are undermining justice for Nolan. I hope you're listening, Brother Elmore, and I hope you're listening, Coach Tracy. You are undermining justice for Nolan by saying you don't think race had anything to do with it. How in the hell do you know? How do you know if race had anything to do with it? How well do you know these young people? It was 30 of them, Art. It was damn near 30 white youth spread across 3 boats. How many of them did Elmore know? How many of them did Coach Tracy know? So how are you going to go on TV and say, I don't think it had anything to do with race? Why are you helping them avoid accountability for what they may have done? I don't know if they did it, Art. You don't know if they did it. They don't know if they did it. And they definitely don't know if it was motivated by race. What they should have said, Art, is what Javon said. And that's why I like the young brother Javon. That's why I like that young brother Javon. His mother, Sister Tashima, shout out to you. You raised a good kid. When TMZ asked Javon if he thought it had anything to do with race, Art, when TMZ asked Javon if he thought this had anything to do with race, he said, what? I don't want to answer that question. I don't want to answer that question. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Or, Art, they could have said, I don't know. Nolan's stepfather could have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. Coach Tracy should have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. But to say you don't think it had to do with race when he was the only black boy across 3 ships? Are you out of your mind? Why would you say that and help them avoid the Federal Hate Crimes Act? Javon gave a better answer than those 2 black men. Javon, a child, gave a better answer than those 2 black men, Art, when he said, I don't want to answer the question. And shout out to Javon, Art. He's intelligent. You know why? Because by saying, I don't want to answer the question, he answered the question. Of course, race has something to do with it. This is the United States of America. Race has something to do with everything involving black people. The country was built on the backs of black people. It's maintained on black people. We are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system, overrepresented in the unemployment line, under the poverty line. Of course, everything in this country has to do with race. And I'm disappointed in us, Art, that we are so afraid to call racism what it is, that we literally got people asking us, when a white person takes the life of a black person, do you think it had anything to do with race? When a police officer takes the life or shoots a black person, do you think it had anything to do? What kind of idiotic gaslighting question is this, Art? all white people are racist. All white people are racist. So we can stop asking if it had anything to do with race. If it's black and it's white, it has something to do with race because all white people are racist. That's just how it is. Now let's get back to this. Before we deal with the infamous Cito call, Art, I got a few questions for Warren. I want to deal with that infamous Cito call, Art, and I want to deal with Sister Tashima and Sister Christine's visit to Warren's home to get Nolan's cell phone. I want to deal with them two in a minute, but before I go there, I got a couple questions for Warren and his white friends. Nolan's best friend, and Warren even called Nolan his brother, Art. He even called him his brother. He said they spent the night together before they went out to White Devils on Island, Art. The night before, July 3rd, they stayed in the same home. How do you stay in the same home with somebody, Art, and leave them on an island? How do you sleep in the same house with somebody July 3rd and then leave them on an island July 4th? But I got a few questions for Warren. No disrespect. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty, but I got a few questions for you, Warren. Since you could sit down and interview with Officer B.T. Coon, I need you to sit down and interview with Dr. Umar Ifatunde. So you can sit down and interview with Officer B.T. Coon.
That's what Umar want. Umar want to interview. Umar want to interview with them boys.
First question to Warren.
He want to interview.
You said that Nolan is a best friend of yours, that he's like a brother. I have a question. If Nolan is your brother and best friend, why did you leave him on that island, especially when you all were drinking? Because somebody put a report out there, Art, that Nolan had been drinking heavily and was intoxicated. Of course, that allegation was dismissed because the coach who contacted Sister Christine confirmed that he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30, and Nolan was not intoxicated. So they lied to protect their friends, because white people are always on code, Art. Not a single white person on that island dropped a dime yet. Not one of them. So anyway, Art, they tried to blame it on him being drunk. So he was just a drunk black kid who walked into the water and drowned. That's the narrative they wanted us to swallow. He was just a drunk black kid who walked into the water and drowned. And remember, Art, Sheriff Ledbetter allegedly ruled the case an accidental drowning before he did any investigation. He ruled Nolan's death an accidental drowning before he did any investigation. As far as I'm concerned, that meets the definition of public corruption. As far as I'm concerned, that meets the definition of public corruption. But staying with Warren, Art. Warren, if Nolan is your brother and best friend, why did you leave him on an island without his cell phone and his keys? Why did you take his cell phone and keys back to the mainland? You left him there and took his cell phone and keys back. Can you please explain that to me? What person wants to be on an island without their phone? Help me understand that, Warren. I don't know of an 18-year-old who wants to be anywhere without their phone, Art. They don't want to be in school without their phone. They don't want to be at home without their phone. They don't want to be out of town without their phone. They don't want to be at the mall, the movies, the restaurant. They don't want to be nowhere without their phone, let alone on an island with no way to get off. You left your best friend on an island, your so-called brother. You left him on an island with no way to get off, and you took his phone and his keys. Can you explain that to me, Warren? While you're thinking about it, I got another question for you, Warren, while you're thinking about it. You said at 11 o'clock, you called Miss Christine to see if she heard from her son. Warren said, Art, I called Miss Christine to see if she heard from Nolan. She said she had not heard from Nolan. Can I ask you a question, Warren? If you took his phone, how in the hell was his mother supposed to hear from her son when you have the son's phone? Did you tell Miss Christine that you had her son's phone when you called her? I bet you didn't. I bet you didn't. Think about that, Art. He called the mother and asked her if she heard from her son. But he knows she didn't hear from her son, Art, because he has her son's phone. How can the mother hear from Nolan when you have Nolan's cell phone and you left him on an island? And I bet you didn't tell her you had his phone. Because if she knew you had his phone, Art, she would not have had to use Life 360 to find the phone. If you had his phone and you called her at 11 o'clock to see if Nolan was okay, why didn't you tell Nolan's mom you had his phone? Why did my sister Christine and my sister Tashima have to use Life 360 to find their son's phone? Because you playing games. You playing games. You playing in our face like we stupid. That's what this is. I don't know if he did it, Art, but he damn sure knows who do. I allege and I believe that all 30 of those white kids on all 3 of them boats know exactly which one of them did it, and the rest of them are covering it up. And guess what, Warren? And the rest of you 30 white kids on those 3 boats, let me explain something to you. Federal hate crimes law, you can go to jail for the rest of your life in case nobody didn't tell you. Federal hate crimes law, you can go to jail for the rest of your life in case nobody told you. Guess what? The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, you can go to jail for up to 30 years. And if Nolan was unalived by more than one person, that constitutes a lynching. That constitutes a lynching. So you can go to jail for up to 30 on the Emmett Till Act. You can go to jail for life on the Matthew Shepard James Byrd Hate Crimes Act. And in the state of Mississippi, Art, if you are an accessory after the fact, not accomplice. Accomplice means you participated in the murder. Accessory means you help cover it up afterwards. If you are an accessory to the fact, after the fact, Art, you can go to jail for up to 20 years, Mississippi law. So they can go to jail for up to 20 years, Mississippi law. Accessory after the fact, you help to cover up the crime. You can go to jail for 30 years on the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, because more than one of you probably participated in Nolan's unaliving. And under the Matthew Shepard James Byrd Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, they can go to jail for life. And this is why I need Nolan's step pop and coach to watch what comes out of their mouth and stop trying to help these white kids avoid accountability for what they did to Nolan. Because if the tables would turn, white folks are not going to try to help your child avoid any accountability. So stop the cutting. Now, another question I have for Warren. You said you and Nolan been friends since 8th grade. Since 8th grade, Art. But Sister Christine says she don't know none of them kids really, Art. She don't know them white kids. So help me understand how you are Nolan's best friend, friends since 8th grade. You called him your brother. Y'all spent the night together July the 3rd, the morning before y'all went to White Devil's Horn Island. And his mother don't even know who you are. And you said out your own mouth that y'all never hung out at Nolan's house. So how are y'all best friends? I had best friends growing up, Art. My mother knew who they were. Who has a best friend that their mom don't know about? Help me understand that. A best friend and the mom don't know him? It sounds suspicious. Why didn't you tell Miss Christine you had her son's cell phone when you called and asked if she heard from him? Art, as far as I'm concerned, this probable cause he has something to do with this. Art, I'm holding her son's cell phone. I left him on the island. I took his keys and phone. And I'm on the phone with the mom. I got his phone. But I'm calling his mother at 11 o'clock. Have you heard from your son? And I'm holding her son's cell phone, and I don't even tell her. Art, this ain't making no sense. This ain't making no sense. And I want to know from Sheriff John Ledbetter, Art, Jackson County Sheriff, you don't have probable cause just off of that alone? Somebody calls somebody's mom asking if she heard from him. while they have their phone and left him stranded on the island? And if you care so much about Nolan, Art, if he cares so much about Nolan, the so-called white best friend, Art, why did you wait till 11 o'clock? Y'all left the island 4:30. Y'all left the island 4:30. If you care so much about Nolan, why are you not calling his mother until 11 o'clock? It's pitch black outside at 11 o'clock, Art. It's pitch black. It's almost midnight, and you wait till 11 o'clock to call his mom and ask her if she heard from her son, but he's supposed to be your brother and best friend. Listen here, Warren. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. And then I have a question for his dad, too, Art. I don't know if you know this, but his dad has started an online fundraising platform for Warren and two of his friends. I think they raised $160,000 so far. $160,000. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody has received a warrant. Nobody has been indicted. Nobody has been charged. Art, if you are innocent, why are you raising money online? You ain't been charged with a crime at all. The state of Mississippi is doing everything they can to make sure y'all don't get charged with anything. So why are you raising money online? Why did y'all cancel your social media? Why are y'all lawyering up? They hired Donald Trump's lawyer, Art. One of Donald Trump's lawyers is now the three of their lawyers. If you innocent, what you need Donald Trump's lawyer for? If you're innocent, what you raising $160,000 for? It sounds like y'all getting ready to defend yourselves. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like y'all think the truth is going to get out really, really soon, and y'all want to be prepared for it. Again, Art, I'm not saying he did it, but I definitely believe he knows who do. Now, we're going to get to this call. We're going to get to this call. But before we get to this call, Art, I'm going to ask the question of Benjamin Crump. Attorney Benjamin Crump. I met him twice, Art. I met Benjamin Crump the day before I graduated with my doctorate at an Urban League conference in New Orleans. I presented at a workshop at the Urban League conference in New Orleans. This is July of 2012. And I flew back to graduate and get my doctorate in clinical psychology. We had lunch. It's a few of us at the table. We had lunch. Okay? This is around the Trayvon era. And then I met Benjamin Crump again at HBCU Delaware State University about 3 or 4 years ago at the Black Farmers Conference that was put on by one of the black professors there. She invited me to keynote the luncheon, and she switched me out at the last minute for Attorney Benjamin Crump. I understand it was a black bourgeoisie event. I'm not a member of the black bourgeoisie. I got switched out. I understand. No harm, no foul. Ben Crump gave a good speech. But here's my question to Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. Here's my question to Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton, Art. How long are y'all going to wait around before y'all call a spade a spade? How long is Ben Crump and Al Sharpton going to wait around, Art, before they tell the world that they don't think this investigation is being done correctly? How long before Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton demand that the FBI and Department of Justice take over this investigation? Art, it's been over a month and we know nothing. It's been over a month and we know nothing. Now, let me say this, Art. There's several circumstances through which you can demand the FBI come in and take over an investigation. One of them, Art, if there is a suspicion of public corruption or obstruction of justice. The FBI, the Department of Justice, can come in and take over a case on the suspicion of public corruption or obstruction of justice. So you're going to say, Dr. Umar, what evidence do you have of that? First of all, they declared this an accidental drowning before they did any investigation. That's a cover-up. Not only that, Art, they never treated the boat like a crime scene. They never took a look at the other two boats. We have no information at all on the other two boats. Those 30 white kids should have had their cell phones confiscated, investigated. All their social media should have been investigated. Their homes should have been investigated. They should have all been interrogated. They should have been investigated to see if they or their parents had any connection to any of the white hate groups in the state of Mississippi. None of that was done. They gave the boat back to the owner, Art. They gave the boat back. The boat may have been a crime scene, and they gave it back. Now, according to the Cajun Navy, another question for Ben Crump, Art. According to the Cajun Navy, they offered Ben Crump to put dogs on the boat and let the dogs sniff it out to see if anybody had recently been deceased on that boat or if there had been any blood on that boat. And according to the representative from the Cajun Navy, Ben Crump told him don't do it. So I need Ben Crump, respectfully, I'm not accusing him of nothing, Art, but I need Ben Crump to explain to me why you didn't let them use the dogs to sniff out that boat. Why did you not let them sniff out that boat with them dogs? Did you have your own dogs to sniff out the boat? Because if you didn't, why didn't you let them sniff the boat out with the dogs? The dogs can tell, Art, if somebody had recently lost their life or if blood had been spilled. He said Ben Crump told him no. I need Ben Crump to explain that. I need Sheriff John Ledbetter to explain why the boat wasn't treated as a crime scene, potential crime scene. I need him to explain why all them white kids wasn't arrested and questioned, because if it was black kids and a white kid went missing, Art, they would have all been arrested and questioned. You know that. They would have all been arrested and questioned. And then let's talk about the autopsy, Art. Let's talk about the autopsy. So the Mississippi State Medical Examiner, they do their autopsy July 7th, right? July 7th. And then Nolan's mother requested an independent autopsy, as she should have. They send Nolan's body to Washington, D.C. When the black medical examiner gets the Nolan's corpse, Art, the throat tissue and the lung tissue is gone. How is he supposed to determine if Nolan died from being choked out or if Nolan died from drowning if he don't have the throat tissue or the lung tissue, Art? How is he supposed to do his job and y'all didn't send the throat tissue or the lung tissue? And nobody has explained yet whether or not the medical examiner in D.C. is ever going to get the throat tissue or the lung tissue. And I personally believe, Art, I personally believe Nolan was deceased before he hit the water. I believe Nolan was deceased before he hit the water. And the reason they held on to the throat tissue and the reason they held on to the lung tissue is they didn't want nobody to know that Nolan was murdered before he hit that water. Just like Emmett Till